So, welcome everyone. For some strange reason, I now lost my backdrop, but I'll get it back and see if that works. For now, we'll just
Peter, you're in the dark.
with the black screen. Yeah, we're completely in the dark at the moment.
I only see a horse. I see a horse.
Yes,
Oh, good.
That's Charis. Charis is our invisible pink unicorn. So
I'm blue, but I'm pink, but I'm blue. Prove me wrong.
yeah.
Oh,
So
now I see you all.
see. We have a screen, so that's working.
You're scary.
A lot of difficult. I'm not that scary. I just look scary to maybe to intimidate people at some point, but that's not.
No, he's right. You're pretty scary.
I'm not. You know,
I wouldn't want to pass you in a dark alley.
Yeah. Okay. So, but we
He's
had
a skinny guy. Just push him against the wall.
For some, I can't talk, can I? You won't let me talk. Both of you won't let me talk. You're teaming up on me. Had some difficulties with Gmail, but at least we seem to be good right now. So we'll take it from here. Following my talk with Seitem Bruggenkate, I got an email, and John, I hope I'm not offending you, but you sent me an email in all caps. So I told the other hosts that I had a shouty preacher because all caps is the internet version of shouting.
No, that's
and
not
then
true.
We talked. No. Hold on. And then I sent you an invite to test, and found out that you're actually really a very nice guy to talk to, because usually my introductions or my initial questions are about 15 minutes, and I think we talked about an hour and a half. We talked about cars, we talked about what we did with our lives, and so we had a very pleasant talk already. That people won't be able to hear because it wasn't recorded.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I only know you as shouty preacher.
Yes.
Hope my neighbors weren't listening. Oh my God, I can't believe I actually shouted. I never do that. Now look what I did to myself.
And now you have to cough. See?
Well, the flu does that too.
John, do a quick introduction of yourself so people know who you are and where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm an evangelist now, and I've traveled throughout the United States, almost every state in the United States. And I actually go into churches and help them to reach a community and to set up home Bible studies. But about 4 years ago, I came across Sai's website, and I started to study that. And I got more into it, and also studied Greg Bonson's his debates with Dr. Stein in California. So I just kept studying more and more, and then I got involved in the comments section on YouTube, and I've been discussing whether God exists with probably close to 100 atheists over the past 4 years. And in the meantime, I've studied quite thoroughly the positions back and forth. And I know that atheists don't want to say they have a worldview, but everybody has a worldview. And that involves,
I don't mind saying I have a worldview.
Yeah, when I say worldview, I mean you have an idea of what is correct behavior, which has to do with morals. The second one is how do I know what I know? And the metaphysical part, which is what is the true nature of reality?
I guess I've never met an atheist who has had a problem saying they have a worldview.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily based on atheism, but I mean, I don't have a problem saying I have a worldview. It's just not.
In reference, how do you know what you know? I'm sure tonight you're going to tell me you know something and the reason you know it, and also you have maybe you say this is my behavior and that's why it is that way, or I think reality is such and such. So those three things play a part in a person's worldview.
Okay, Peter?
Well, yeah, so I usually am one of the guys who says that I don't have a worldview. And the reason that I say that is because how I view the world has no impact on reality. So,
well, reality, what you consider as reality is the metaphysical position. What you think the reality is what you see.
Yes, but the way I view it has no impact on reality. If I view a car as being blue when it's actually red, my view of the car doesn't have any impact on reality. It won't turn blue just because I think it's blue.
Peter's differentiating his perception of reality with reality. So
yeah, that's right. Say that because when we get into reality, it could be a chance reality, it could be a planned reality, it could be all as one reality. So everybody has a different view on what reality is. Some people think everything is one, and that the tree is part of God, and various other things. They have different views on what reality is, and you'll have to admit that when you look at reality, you're using your senses.
Please don't tell us what we have to admit, though. I mean, we can have different opinions.
I'm asking the question. You probably view reality with your senses.
No.
No.
There are instruments for that. I cannot trust just my senses. I would be silly to do that.
Well, it's your senses looking through the instrument.
The instruments are a very good replacement for my senses.
Well, if you use an instrument without your senses, I don't see how you could be using an instrument.
It's like using.
If I got a telescope and I'm using that as an instrument, I still have to have my eye on the telescope and to see what I'm looking at. So
I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure I think we're kind of splitting hairs here. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. We'll get to the interview and ask you what you believe about, what you believe, how you've gotten to those beliefs, etc.
Okay. First of all, let's talk about knowledge, how we know what we know, which has what call fancy word for it is epistemology.
No, first we're going to talk about your beliefs. So you as a Christian believe
that's what I'm talking about. You didn't let me finish. Epistemology is how do I know what I know? There's two ways of knowing something. You can know it deductively or you can know it inductively. Deductively means that you have to start with a general premise and then draw a conclusion and apply it to the reality around you. The other one starts with reality and tries to come to a general conclusion.
All right. What are your beliefs and how might you contrast those beliefs with those of other Christians?
Yeah, I start with the Bible as my deductive source, and therefore I can go from there and look at reality starting with that as my deductive starting point.
So now I already have a question for you, John.
Yeah.
If you say I start with the Bible, so at some point you were born, you didn't have the ability to read. The only abilities you had back then was to see and hear and feel, the stuff everyone has. So to come to your first part of knowledge of reality, I don't think you could have gone back to the Bible, because You weren't able to read, so you couldn't use the Bible back then. Isn't that correct?
Back when? Back
Before
when?
you were able to read.
Well, before I was able to read, I had to have the laws of logic. The laws of logic are prior to reading. If you don't already know the laws of logic, there's no way that you could read.
No,
And,
what I'm trying to say, hold on. What I'm trying to say is, you started out with just your own senses. Isn't that correct?
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that knowledge comes from your brain. I don't believe knowledge comes from your material brain.
So
It's
how did you learn? How did you learn to read?
Well, knowledge doesn't come from your material brain. First of all, you have to know the laws of logic before you can even recognize a letter, like the letter A. And if you take the position, I don't know what your position is, but if you take an atheist position, they believe that they're born without the laws of logic, and then through sense experience of reality, they learn about the laws of logic by looking at reality. That is impossible. You cannot start with a blank mind and then conclude that a rock is a rock.
Please don't tell atheists what it is that we believe.
Oh yeah, I'm going to tell atheists what they believe. I don't know what you believe, but that's my experience.
Don't tell another person what they believe.
I'm not saying what you believe. I'm telling you what atheists I've run into.
Yeah,
we're not talking about them.
Let's not talk about the atheists you have run into.
Why not? I have to. That's my experience.
Because you're talking to us as people. Let's keep it into this conversation, and we're not going to take the side of another person who isn't here to discuss it themselves. You're talking to us. You're not talking to them. Let's keep it on a discussion with us.
Well, then I think the best thing is for you to find out what you believe. And
we're interviewing you. That is for a different discussion, as we have agreed to. Remember?
Let me get back.
I didn't understand it. I thought I was going to have a chance to ask a question of you
guys. Let me go back. Let me go back to what I was talking about, because we're running down a rabbit hole that I don't think is helpful.
No, we should go back. We should go back. We should go back to where you left off with Sai. With Sai, you said that the laws of logic.
No, because I don't want to rehash my talk with Sai.
Well, you're going to have to, because you said that the laws of logic came from description of reality. Now that's what you're claiming.
Okay. I was working my way to that.
Let's concentrate on that.
In my line of questions, but that's where we got cut off. So let's go back to where we were. So at one point, people are born and they learn to read.
How? How do they learn to read?
In my case, that would have been my mother who taught me. Who first
how
taught
did
me
she?
The first letters.
Okay, how did she teach you those letters?
By writing them down and telling me what they meant.
Okay, and how was she able to get you to understand what the letters are?
By explaining me what they meant.
And how was you able to understand the explanation?
Because I already learned how to talk.
And how did you already learn how to talk?
Same thing, my mother taught me.
And how did you understand your mother? Who taught you to understand your mother?
I don't think that's a very big secret. I mean, everyone learns the same way. Everyone learns from either a parent or for people who don't have parents.
Okay.
For someone who have taken on that particular role.
Then Peter, what you say?
I don't think that's a very, very big secret.
So Peter, what you're saying is that you learn by sense experience from your mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone does.
So everything that you learn and all that you learn has to come from sense experience.
Yes, for everyone.
That's impossible without knowing prior the laws of logic.
You can't learn about the laws of logic if you're not able to speak.
That's right. In other words,
or have a conversation. The laws of logic is something that I learned in school, and that was more than a decade later.
Okay, then Peter, I'm going to ask you a question. Teach me the laws of logic if I didn't already know them. Teach me the laws of logic. Teach me right now the law of non-contradiction if I didn't already know them.
Google it.
Yeah, I mean,
no, teach me right now. Explain to me right now the law of non-contradiction if I did not already know it.
Google it.
Yeah, no, I'm asking for him to do it.
So
remember now,
you do it.
remember now. Remember now. I was born without the laws of logic.
Mm-hmm.
I was born with a blank mind, and then I learned it later, right?
Yes.
Maybe.
Okay.
So I mean, people learn wrong things.
Okay.
Too, so.
Then, how did I learn anything if I was already born not knowing the laws of logic?
Repetition, feedback, senses.
Okay.
I mean, you know.
Then,
yes.
Peter,
independent confirmation.
Would be do it right now. Teach me the law of non-contradiction with your voice.
Why would I?
If I didn't already know them?
Can we get back on track of an interview, because this is really going off subject.
This is a very important part. Yeah. This is very important.
Just remember whose show this is.
It's an impossible thing to do. I can teach you something.
Sure. Here, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you. John, I'm going to play Peter. John, I'm going to tell you and teach you the laws of logic. And
it's impossible.
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say to you, John. The laws of logic, nothing can be and not be at the same time. And John will not be able to respond to you because he doesn't know the laws of logic to understand the words that you just said. You cannot learn the laws. You cannot learn the laws of logic unless you already knew them to be able to learn them.
The problem here is we can't go back to the point where you don't know the laws of logic. So I can't teach you the laws of logic because you already know them.
When did I know them?
Don't know. That's a question for you. You tell us.
No. Yeah. When does anybody ever know them?
I can't speak for everybody else. You can only speak for yourself. So when did you know them?
That's different. That's different for everyone.
Everyone
learns about the laws of. Everyone learns about.
Hold on.
Please.
You're not following.
John, we do have a rule here, and that is we try to keep interruptions at a minimum. So if I'm talking and I want to try to explain something to you, you have to let me finish in order to explain something to you.
But I already know what you're going to say. You've already said that. You've already said that you learned it from other people.
What was I going to say?
You're going to say that you learned it from other people by gradually observing.
That wasn't what I was going to say.
Okay, tell me what you were going to say.
See, first let's calm down a little bit, because this is getting a lot more aggressive than I was hoping it would be, and I don't think that it will help either case. So if we just calm down and have a conversation instead of a contest, because it's looking more like a contest to me right now, and I'm not interested in having a contest because there's no winner anyway. What I was trying to say is that everyone learns the laws of logic differently and at a different age. So to me, that's not even useful to use here. You know the laws of logic, I know them, Charis knows them. So there's no need for anyone to teach the other one, because it's impossible, because you already know them.
And when did you know them, Peter?
I have honestly no clue when I learned about the laws of logic.
Then let me ask you another question.
To me, that was so irrelevant to my life at the time that I didn't remember when I exactly learned it.
When you were born, did you know the law?
It must have been.
I'm not talking about the time afterwards. I'm talking when you're born. When you are born, were you born with a blank mind and did not know the laws of logic?
Everyone is.
Okay. Then how can you learn the laws of logic unless you already knew the laws of logic?
By first learning to communicate.
You can't do that because you can't understand when somebody communicates to you, because you have to know the law of non-contradiction, the law of identity, and the law of the excluded middle. If you don't know them already, innate within your brain, when somebody says a word to you, that word could be and not be at the same time.
No, I don't think so.
Yes.
And here's why. Because you don't have to be aware of a certain concept before you learn to use it. When you learn to talk, for instance, you trust your parents that what they say is correct.
Peter, you're not following me. You're not following. I'm saying when your parents talked to you, they had to use words or had to point at something.
I think I know where you're coming from and where you're going, even though I don't know how to articulate my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that there's a reason Peter doesn't understand it, and try to speak with a little bit less emotion, because we're hearing more emotion than content. So bring it down a notch. You're kind of being shouty preacher at us. Stop it.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Charis?
I'm starting.
Okay.
I'm starting to get it. Yeah.
This is complicated. It took me a long time to understand it. That if you're
Well,
born with
it's not that I wasn't understanding it. I just wasn't understanding where you were going with it.
Oh, well, eventually I will go to a certain spot with it.
Well, there's a problem, because this isn't your show, and we need to get on with what this show is intended for. And we're not going to just let you go wherever you want with it. We have a show to do, and that's what is going to happen here.
Well, if we got to start with the basics of how we know what we know.
No,
Otherwise,
we have to start with the basics of the show, and that is, what do you believe? Why? How did you come to believe it? How are you? What has your life been like, etc.?
Okay, I'll tell you about it. I found out that I have to know the laws of logic before I can know anything else in the world.
Okay, now my question would be...
They're fundamental
to
knowing anything. So
my question would be, where did you find this out? You said you found out. So I'm asking, where did you find it out? I do find this interesting.
Yeah. I got it from a professor out of New England that he explained.
Oh, all right. What professor?
He explained it because he starts out with the senses. We depend a lot on our senses. And if you say, can I sense a sensation when I see something? Mm-hmm. Well, if you're sensing a sensation, then you got to sense a sensation that senses a sensation. And then you got to
say it again 5 times fast, please.
Then you got to sense that sensation that senses a sensation. And then you got to sense the senses that sense the senses. So that continually goes on until you get into infinite regression. And if you get into infinite regression, you never can know anything for certain. Then he started teaching about the laws of logic. Most people believe that you already have the laws of logic and that you learn them later.
John, let me quickly interrupt, because I don't think that you understood the question. And you're also now confirming exactly what I already said just before. You were talking to a professor. That means that you could already talk and you could already interact with people.
Yeah.
You also you were talking you were talking to a professor. So that means that you already started school, and
no, you don't understand, Peter. You don't understand, Peter. You're trying to say that I learned something from somebody else.
Let Peter finish.
John, I wasn't finished. Let me finish, please.
Okay.
So this was later in your life. Can I ask, when you talked to the professor, at what age did you talk to him?
I didn't learn the laws of logic from professor. I didn't learn that from him.
You just told
I
us
didn't
you
learn
did.
that from him. I learned what I learned the reality already was. And
Okay,
all I
so
found out.
let's go. Okay.
I didn't
So
learn the
then
laws
the
of logic from
professor
him.
then the professor is completely irrelevant, because if you're going to tell us that you learned it from him, but you already learned it before that, then you didn't learn it from him.
Well, no,
So let's get back.
he helped me. He helped me to
No,
explain it.
hold on. No. Let's go back to the question. So
Okay.
I don't think you understand our question. Our question is, what do you believe and why? So what do you
Okay.
believe and why? What do you believe and why is obviously what do you believe about a God and why? And that's
Okay.
the
I'll
question
go
you
there.
still haven't answered.
I believe that if you have a worldview and know that God exists, you would have to start with a deductive base. If you don't start with a deductive base,
That doesn't answer my question.
yes, it is. I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you. If you don't start with a
No,
deductive
because,
base, a general
because
universal
the
starting
question.
point. If you don't start with a
No,
universal
hold on,
starting point,
John,
oh,
stop interrupting, because this isn't working.
you asked me to
Let
tell you.
let me let me simplify it. Do you believe that a God exists?
Yes,
Okay,
because without
that
him,
is
without him,
that was the question. That was the question we're asking. So
without him, you not know anything.
what do you believe when it comes to a God, and why do you believe it?
Because
Let's not don't tell us how you can come to this belief. Just tell us, what do you believe and why do you believe it?
the impossibility of the contrary.
Okay.
So
At
your
least
belief is that
now we have.
it's impossible for a God not to exist.
That's right.
Okay.
Impossibly the contrary, and that Christianity provides the
How?
preconditions for intelligibility. Let me say it again.
Why would
Christianity
it be why
Let me
John
finish it.
John
Will you?
John
Let me
no
finish my
no
2
no
points.
because you are on our show. We will ask you the questions
And I
and you
tried to
will
answer it. I said, because the impossibility of the contrary, and that Christianity provides the preconditions for intelligibility.
And then you said, let's say,
Okay.
I'm going to say it again. Remember, you are not our
And
professor. You're our guest.
And let's go back to the answer you gave. You believe in a God because you think it's impossible. The contrary is impossible.
That's
Why
right.
is it impossible? Why is it impossible for there to be no God?
Because without God and without the foundation of a starting point, then everything is impossible for knowledge.
Why?
Because when you ask for evidence, you're presupposing truth. And when you presuppose truth, you presuppose God.
Why? Because
Because
I don't.
right. Because when you
Because
ask,
I don't.
when
So
you ask for,
that's already
let me
false.
finish. Let me finish. When you ask for evidence, you're presupposing that there's something that can be certain.
No.
No.
No? Well, then why do you keep asking for
No.
evidence? If you don't think there can be a certain answer and a true answer, then why ask for evidence?
To see if there is an answer that supports what it is you're claiming. And if there isn't, then I have no reason to believe that what you claim is true.
Okay, then when you ask for evidence, are you supposing that there can be a true answer?
No, not necessarily. I'm
Would
just
you-
saying that there may or may not be evidence that supports your claim as the true answer. And
Okay.
if there is, fine. If there isn't, oh well.
Do you expect a true answer for your question?
I expect you to give an answer that is true to the extent of your ability.
Do you think there could be a true answer?
Possibly, yeah.
So you're not sure?
No.
Okay, then why do you keep asking for evidence?
To see if the claim that you present is true.
So you think there could be a true answer?
Possibly.
Possibly. Well, possibly is not. Would you settle for a probable God or a God that exists truly?
If I saw that a
However-
God, if just a second, Peter, he asked me. If I saw that a God, that the existence of a God, not necessarily just the Christian God, just a God, if I saw that it was more probable than not, then I would consider myself more of an agnostic deist.
Okay. So
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that leads to a good question. Let
Okay.
me ask you that. Let me ask you this.
Just keep in mind that this is actually going into a different show where you interview us. Right now, you're kind of going off again.
Okay. All right.
So we're supposed to be asking you these.
Yeah.
So if a giant came into your bedroom, 10 foot tall, and it had eyes as a flame of fire and a lightning bolt in its hand, and said that I am God, would that be sufficient evidence for you?
If
No.
it left sufficient physical evidence, otherwise I would be quickly checking myself into a hospital to make sure that I wasn't hallucinating. But if
Okay.
it actually did like leave physical evidence behind, for something on my body that showed that there was this non-earthly thing that they could then take.
Hold on, and that would still not be enough. We would need independent confirmation.
Peter, you're right. Peter, you're right. That would not be enough. Peter, you're great. That would not be enough, and I agree with you. I agree with you because I could add more to the giant. I could say that he had gold in his hands. He had 1,000.
I love the story. I love the story about the giant, but you're not going to tell me that
that's not enough. That's what you just said. It's not enough.
John, you need to stop interrupting or I have to mute you. This is our show. When I'm talking, I want you to let me
talk. Interrupted her because I was talking to her.
John, we're talking to each other. There are three people in this room talking to each other. If I have a question, I have the room to ask my question. So that's what I'm going to do. If you keep interrupting me, I'll have to mute you.
No, you interrupted her because I was talking to her.
I really don't want to mute you because I want to get out my question in a civil manner.
Peter is technically host. I'm co-host.
We're going back to the question that we were asking, because it's not about us whether or not we believe in a God and what would be evidence for us for a God to exist, because that's irrelevant to the conversation. What is relevant is how you came to believe in a God. And I don't think that a giant with lightning bolts coming from its eyes entered your room, and that's what made you believe in the Christian God, because that would be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So
I wasn't talking about me.
Let's get back to your youth. When was the first time the Christian God was introduced into your life, and by whom?
When I was born. All people know that God exists.
I don't believe you because
please don't tell me what I believe.
Yeah, all people do not believe that a God exists. I live in a country where
you asked me about myself.
I live in a country.
Wait a minute. You asked about myself, and I told you. I says when I was born, I believe God exists.
John, I have to mute you because you don't let me talk. I live in a country where 80% of the people is atheist. In my country, we are not born with a knowledge of God, because we don't have a knowledge of God. So I don't know where you're coming from and what happened in your life, but we're not born with the knowledge of God. So you'll have to unmute yourself before you can talk. because I can't unmute you. You have
I
to do
will
that.
make clear to everybody, including the audience, that one of the rules agreed to beforehand was that none of us would tell anybody else what they believed. He did agree
Yes.
to this, and I am extremely unappreciative of being told what I believe when. If there
Yes.
is any way to piss off Charis, that is the way. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, John, you'll have to unmute yourself. There's at the top of the screen, there's a button with a microphone. You have to click on that to unmute yourself. Okay, you're back. No,
Oh,
you're
you
not.
accidentally muted again.
Yeah, you accidentally muted again. Just click it once, so the microphone disappears from your avatar. Yeah,
There you
you're
go.
back. No, just click it once. You clicked it twice. You have to click it just
Yeah, you
once.
don't have to double click it. There you go. Now you're back.
There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Well, don't tell me that you don't believe. I don't want to hear what you believe.
I'm not too interested in what you want to hear about my beliefs.
I'm just
to be very
I'm
honest,
just
I don't care.
I'm
Peter,
just telling you made a claim. That claim is demonstrably false,
Well,
and I just informed you that it is demonstrably false.
then you're telling me what you believe, Peter. You're telling me that's wrong, and that you believe that you're born not knowing God exists. So you're telling me what you believe.
I
So
was
stop.
born not knowing.
Don't do that,
God
Peter.
exists.
I don't do it. I don't want to know what you believe, Peter.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
need to stay out of it.
Okay, so we're going to let you make claims that are demonstrably false, and
Right?
then continue the conversation as if they were correct. That's
Oh,
what you want to do?
how old was you when you killed your mother? You just got to.
Okay, I'm meeting you right now. You're going to go back to the topic of this discussion, and you
Yeah,
will go from there.
Yeah, because this isn't helping, John.
You will have basic respect, or you will not be in here.
If you're going to be aggressive towards us, then it will be a very short conversation because we won't allow that. You can unmute yourself now. You'll have to unmute yourself again, John, because you're still muted.
Just one click. There you go.
Okay, I answered that question. I believe God exists when I was born.
Okay.
Okay. How did you come to the realization that a God exists when you were born? When did that happen exactly?
As soon as I was born, just like I had the laws of logic when I was born.
Okay. I guess I'll go to a different but relevant question there, and going from the topic of a God, a general deity. When did you come to saving knowledge of Jesus Christ?
When I stopped repressing the fact that God existed was at the age of 17.
I'm not talking about the existence of a God, because there are many deists who do not believe in Christ, and there are many Muslims who do believe in the existence of a God who does not have the identity of the one in the Bible. So I'm asking you, when did your saving knowledge of Jesus Christ come to be?
Well, I told you that. I suppressed the idea that God existed, and at 17, I stopped that repression and became a convert.
So that's when you started believing specifically in Jesus Christ, not in a general God, but in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I stopped repressing that God existed, and I turned and repented of my sins and accepted the remission of sin from Jesus' work on the cross.
Okay.
Can I ask a simple question? So what you're actually saying is that Christians don't need the Bible.
No, I didn't say that.
Is that correct?
No,
Because
I didn't say that.
Okay, then clarify this for me. If you have the knowledge of Jesus Christ, why would you need the Bible?
Are you talking about knowledge of what Jesus did, or you're talking about the existence of God?
Jesus
Both.
specifically, the second person of the Godhead.
Yeah, I would say both, but we can stick to just Jesus if you want.
Well, the thing is, Peter, you could read the Bible and not even become a Christian, right?
I'm more curious about the fact that you
Okay,
know
you asked me.
I'm more curious. John, stop talk over me, because that's not going to work.
But you're not going to answer my question.
No, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm asking you.
Then let me go on.
No, I'm not letting you go on. I'm asking you a question, and we will go on if you answer that question. My question is that you say you had knowledge of Jesus Christ before you read the Bible. I want to know what you knew before you read the Bible, and if it lined up with what the Bible said.
Well, Jesus is God.
When did you check, and how?
Jesus is God.
According to the doctrine of the Trinity, Jesus is God. Just
no,
you're not answering my question.
Well, you gotta know the difference here.
No, you need to listen to the question that I ask. You need to listen to.
No, I'm defining the terms, Peter. Let me define.
No, you are not defining the terms. You can define the terms whenever you don't want me to define the difference between.
You don't want me to define the difference between a general God and Jesus, who is God.
Can I jump in here real quick?
I've muted you in a different way so I can actually unmute you again.
Oh my goodness.
I have a question. My question is, you had a full knowledge of Jesus Christ before you ever laid eyes on a Bible. I want to know what you knew before
I did not say that.
the Bible.
Peter, I did not say that.
You Peter,
Peter, I did not say that.
What you already knew was correct with what it said in the Bible.
Peter, I did not say that. I said
God. You said that. You said you were born.
You said I had a knowledge of Jesus. You said I had a knowledge of Jesus.
You said you were born with the full knowledge of God and of Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to tell you
that. Let him explain what he means.
Is that correct?
You said I had a knowledge of Jesus previous.
No, you said you had the knowledge of Jesus.
No, I said I had knowledge. I had a knowledge of God.
Okay.
Okay. Please let me answer.
Okay. And did your knowledge of God line up with what the Bible, how did the Bible describe God?
Yes. For the invisible things are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead.
Yes. So you grew up with the idea that slavery was okay, stuff like that.
Oh,
you already knew that.
You're talking about the Bible, Peter. I'm not going to talk about the Bible. You agree. Not talk about the Bible.
I'm talking about God, and the only way for me.
How do we slip into slavery? How do we slip into slavery, Peter?
Let me explain this to you. The only way I know about God is because of what it says in the Bible about the characteristics of the Christian God. The only reference I have is what it says in the Bible. That's my only reference to the Christian God. So if we're going to discuss the Christian God, then you have to be aware that that's the guy that I'm referring to when I say God.
Also, there has to be a clarification that you may, just a second, John, you may have set the boundary for yourself that you won't discuss the Bible, but we set no such boundary for ourselves.
Oh, you agreed to it before we started this.
I agreed that you indeed did set that boundary for yourself.
No, I didn't. I said it for the whole debate.
Well, you didn't. You said that you're not going to talk about the Bible.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
That's fine, but we can.
But we can.
I didn't say that. I said we're going to have to discuss
It's not really up to you to make the call about what we do and do not do on this show. That is not your call.
Good.
So
that's what I meant. That's what I meant. You said yes.
What characteristics?
So you don't keep your word.
Well, let's go back to the conversation.
Just a second, Peter. I kept my word according to what I meant. I have no control over what you meant, and after knowing now what you meant, I do not consent to that, and I can only consent to what I mean. I'm not consenting to what you originally meant, which I didn't apparently understand.
Folks, we're not advancing very fast here.
That's fine. We don't have to advance quickly. Speed is not an issue.
No. And also, let's go back to the conversation. So you had a knowledge of God. What specific characteristics did you already know before you read the Bible?
The same that you did.
I had none, so you had none either?
Well, that's my belief that you did.
I had none.
Well,
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about your belief. I care about reality.
Well, you're asking about. You're asking about my belief. My belief is that you already knew.
I still have no concept of God, so I still have no set specifics for God. I talk to people who do have a concept of God, and I let them tell me what their specifics are.
Well, you're asking what I believe, and that's what I believe.
Unlike you, who wants to impose certain things on us that we don't actually believe or hold true. And that's fine, but if that's going to be the fact, then you're going to be attacking straw man all through the talk, and it'll get you nowhere, and it will make you look ridiculous.
Are you done with your speech? Are you done with your speech, Peter, or do you want to get on with this? All you're doing is big speech,
and that's what I'm trying to prevent.
Yeah, I know. Come on, let's make the debate go, will you? All it is your big long talks.
This isn't a debate. We're trying to ask you your beliefs.
We already told you it's not a debate.
You're making up the rules. You're making up the rules as we go along. I told you previously we're going to talk about the laws of logic, and you agreed to it the other day when we talked first time. Now you want this to be questions
Peter,
only asked of me. Well, it's very hard to ask me questions and not get you involved.
Okay. I muted you, so let's go over the rules again. This is our show. What we're going to talk about or not going to talk about is up to Charis and me, because it is our show. If we're going to talk about the laws of logic, then we're going to talk about the laws of logic. We agreed that we can talk about that. That's what we agreed to. We can't talk about that. We're having a line of questions. If you don't like it, if you don't want to tell us what you believe and why you believe it,
this may not be the show for you.
That's fine. But then we can't have a conversation, because I'm not going to assume what you believe and assume why you believe it. If you want to have an honest conversation, you can tell us. If you don't want to tell us, then okay.
Yes, I already told you. I already told you
that will end the conversation very quickly.
I told you at the beginning that my worldview is based deductively on the Bible. It starts from there. I don't reason to God. I start from God. And that's where I reason from. And you reason from your senses.
Don't tell us where we reason from, please.
Yeah.
Well, don't tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you that you're not answering the question.
I'm perfectly satisfied with the answer that you just gave. We want to know where you're coming from. You told us. I'm fine with that.
Right. So I can protect my worldview. Your worldview is impossible.
What? What is my worldview?
Yes.
Your worldview is contrary to what I believe.
Maybe I don't know yet everything that you believe. You are not. You are not this. Yeah, I mean, you haven't told us everything that you believe.
Peter already told me what he believed, that he doesn't believe there's enough evidence to believe that God exists. He already told me.
That's not a worldview.
Sure, of course it is.
No, that's an answer to one specific question that has nothing to do with the worldview.
No, he told me that he believed in observation of reality, which has to do with your senses. So all knowledge with you is from data from your senses.
I think I know what the problem is. What is your definition of the word worldview?
My definition.
The definition that you are currently using.
That my epistemology, that's a good question. The first good one I've heard so far. The first thing is epistemology. How do I know what I know? And you're really curious because you're asking, how do I know that I'm a Christian? How do you know that you got saved? How do you know that? Well, see, that's a big question, the epistemology. How do you know what you know?
I am asking right now what definition of worldview you are using for this conversation.
My worldview is the epistemology is based on deduction.
No, I'm not asking about your worldview of epistemology. I am asking what definition of worldview are you using for this conversation?
Well, a worldview incorporates the three items, and I went over that once before. Your epistemology, how do you know what you know? And your morals, what is correct behavior? And metaphysics, which is what is the true nature of reality?
Okay. I'm not saying here that I necessarily agree with what your definition is, or explanation in this case, not a definition, but I am saying that I understand what you're using as the description of the worldview in the context that you're in right now.
Yeah, and that's important, because when I look at the world, I see it as uniform. I believe God is in control of the uniformity of the world. And that's what science is based on. It's based on the uniformity of reality. Whereas you look at it, you don't want me to tell you what you look at. Okay. You want to know what I believe. You want to know what I believe. I believe that the world is controlled by God, that a sparrow doesn't fall to the ground without him noticing it and dies. And I also believe that that there's objective morals, which mean they're found in the Bible. And I also believe epistemology, that you have to have a starting point that is your presupposition. That's my worldview. And my presupposition, my presupposition is the Bible is true, and that everything else goes from that source.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. That gives you a broad outline.
Peter?
Yeah, I'm still struggling with the question that I asked and that hasn't been answered yet, because I think that's, for me at least, that's crucial to know what John is trying to say here.
I know, it's why I wanted to get down to what he meant by worldview, because I think we were having a fundamental misunderstanding, and definitions are so essential to having a coherent conversation sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I think what Peter was trying to ask me was, how did I know that Jesus existed? And how did I know that from the Bible, or something like that? He was asking me.
No, I wanted to know how you knew that before you read the Bible, and what specifics did you know before you read the Bible or even heard from someone else about God?
Well, here's the thing. And of course, I'm going to have to get a little bit into the Bible to do this. The Bible says the Spirit of God will lead you to all truth. So the Spirit of God works on an individual and leads him to the truth.
Mm-hmm. Which you didn't know because you hadn't read it. My question is, what did you know before you read the Bible?
Well, I had this. I could look at creation, and the Bible says, for the invisible things of him are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they're without excuse. So we have two things.
What is creation?
Well, all of the universe.
Yeah.
When you look at the universe,
that's all of the universe. You put a new label onto that and called it creation. Why?
Oh yeah, everything that's created around you.
Why is it created?
What do you mean?
Generally for the glory of God.
Yeah, no, Charis, please don't do that. Why is it created? How did you come to the conclusion that it was created?
Oh, that's a different question, Peter. Damn it.
Well, I go back to my source, my deductive source.
Yes.
I go to my deductive source.
Yes, and that still doesn't answer the question how you came to the conclusion that it was created.
I already told you the Spirit of God leads you into all truth. John chapter 14.
Does it do that without a preacher first?
Now you're using the Bible. Now you're using the Bible when you said you weren't going to, and when you said you already knew this before you read the Bible.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You couldn't know a specific verse in the Bible if you have never read it. Isn't
Oh,
that
you said I couldn't know. Are you saying, Peter, I couldn't know? What is your epistemology that you know that I couldn't know? What epistemology are you basing that on? Are you basing that on induction, Peter, or deduction?
I'm not saying, I'm asking you a question.
Oh, no, you use the word no. Wait a minute, Peter. You use the word no.
John, don't let me mute you. John, don't let me mute you again because you don't let me ask my question.
Don't use a word that's not. Don't use the word no.
I'm going to mute you and I'm going to ask my question, whether or not you're listening or not. Before you read the Bible, did you already know specific verses, and did you later find out that those actually were in the Bible at the places where you expected them to be?
Well, I didn't have to know specific verses.
Okay, because you just cited a specific verse that you knew before you read the Bible. I don't know if you're trying to muddy the conversation, or maybe you didn't understand my question.
And the reason is, Peter.
My question was, how did you, before you read the Bible, how did you come to the conclusion that the universe was a creation?
By looking at it.
That doesn't tell you whether or not it's created.
How do you know that?
Because of common sense.
How do you know that?
Because that's not how we know if something is created. We have, if we have the concept, we have the concept of something that is created, we have to line that up with something that wasn't created and make the difference between the two. So can you name me something that isn't created?
How do you know that, Peter?
Can you name me something that isn't created?
That isn't created.
Yeah. Do you have an example?
I thought you were asking how do I know something without knowing the verses in the Bible?
I'm asking you to give me an example of something that isn't created, something that we can see.
Oh, that isn't created and doesn't get old?
No. Don't.
Well, something is not created when
if I ask you a question, why do you need to put in more things than that I initially asked? I asked you to give me an example, something everyone can see that isn't created.
Something that people can see that isn't created. I don't know what your question means.
No,
I don't understand your question. I don't understand.
Obviously, you don't, because you just came to a silly conclusion that everything you can see is created, and you can't get to something being created if you don't know the difference between something that is created and something that isn't. What I'm asking you is the tool you used.
Yeah.
What is not what.
I got an answer. Yeah, I got an answer. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
Not the Bible. We're not going to use the Bible. You didn't want to use the Bible, so don't.
Well, you're asking me Bible questions. I got to use the Bible.
No, I'm not asking you Bible questions.
How do I know?
Let him use the fucking Bible, Peter.
You're asking me how I know. You're asking me how I know, Peter. You're asking me how I know.
I'm asking you because I already know the answer isn't in the Bible. I'm asking you to point me to something that I can see that is not created. What is not created in your worldview, or how you see it, or your conception? What is not created?
What is not created?
Yeah. Name me one thing that isn't created. So that we can have a distinct difference between what is created and what is not created.
I'll give you presuppositions are not created. Axioms are not created.
Yeah,
Because if they were created,
I can't see a proposition. I can't have half a pound of
no,
proposition.
no, axioms have no cause and they have no.
Give me something I can see.
He's talking about
Something
the concrete, not abstract.
Yes, give me something concrete, something we all can see, everyone in the entire world can see that is not created.
Well, I think you mean see all at one time?
Not necessarily.
I mean something that is there that we can see.
It's tangible.
There, is tangible, and is not created.
Well, I couldn't answer that unless I was omnipresent, because I'm not every place at the same time.
So you don't have. So what you're saying is you don't have a concept of something that is not created.
Well, I'd have to be everywhere. I'd have to be everywhere at the same time. I can't be in all places. Maybe there's something someplace else that I haven't been. That's something that was, you see, was not created.
So let me see if I'm interpreting this right. As far as you know right now, you don't have a concept of it, but you think that if you had more knowledge, there may be something that you just don't know about.
Well, that's right. Omniscience. When you ask a question about something existing,
you wouldn't necessarily need omniscience for this. And here's why. I can not know about something here in America while somebody else in China knows that thing. There doesn't need to be omniscience for that thing to be known. So just because I don't know it, it's not because I'm not omniscient. It's just because I don't have the knowledge necessary for knowing that thing. So you don't need omniscience to know of X. You just need knowledge of X.
He's asking about something that was not created.
Well,
he's asking, where's this going? You know, it's a very boring question. I don't know where you're going.
Let me go at this a little bit different. What's the difference? What's the difference for you, not for us? What's the difference for you between something that is created and something that isn't created? How can you tell the difference?
Created and not created. Are you talking about something that's material and something that's immaterial?
No. Something material, one material thing is created, the other material thing isn't. In your view, what would be the differences? How would you tell which is which?
That's uncreated.
How would you know which one? Are there traits of an uncreated thing specific to having been uncreated versus traits that are specific to having been created?
Not created.
I don't know. I'm just rewording his question.
I don't know. I don't know what you're driving at. I absolutely don't know. Never heard the question in my whole life.
Because what you're telling us now is that you don't even know the difference between something that is created and something that isn't.
Oh,
created.
I see what you're saying.
And yet you make a claim that you can tell us what is created and what isn't created. So
I see what you mean. I understand what you're saying now. In other words, how can I say something is created if I haven't have any sense experience of an uncreated?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm asking you what the difference in characteristics are.
In other words, I'd have to know that.
You made a claim that the universe is created. What I'm trying to do now is find out whether or not you are in a position to even make such a claim. And as it turns out, it's looking more and more that you don't even have a clue about how
you're making a knowledge. You're making a knowledge claim. Wait a minute, Peter. You can't do that. You're making a knowledge claim about me.
John,
you're making a knowledge claim.
Mute you again because you don't let me talk.
No, you do all the time. You can't
tell the difference between something that is created and that isn't created.
Well,
and
what about
you make a claim that you can tell us what is created and what isn't created?
What about the earth?
Pointing out the flaw in your claim.
Can I talk? You want me to answer the question? I know it's created. I know it's created.
That is,
I know it's created.
We can dismiss your claim that the universe is a creation?
I know
Because you obviously don't have a clue how to demonstrate that it is a creation. You don't even have the concept of what is a
getting
creation.
slower.
So you can't make that claim.
It's created. It's created, Peter, if you let me answer, because it's getting older and slowing down. So I had a beginning.
Were you talking while you were muted?
Yeah, he was talking while he was muted. This is I think John is just bent on.
It was created. The world was created. The world is.
John just wants to talk and doesn't want to.
You're doing all the talking, Peter.
I'm asking questions.
Hold on, let him answer.
And you are doing your very best to avoid answering every single question we have.
I just answered your question. I answered your question. I said it's slowing down, so it must have been created.
Why?
It's slowing down. It's getting older.
How does that mean it's created?
Okay, so tell me how a rock slows down.
How do what?
How does a rock slow down?
The universe is slowing down.
No, I'm asking you how a rock is slowing down. If I see a rock, how can I see if it's slowing down or not?
Getting old.
Okay, hold on. When you say created, do you mean started to exist? Because that wasn't the question. He wasn't saying, how do you know something started to exist versus something that doesn't start to exist? He's talking about two things that are assumed to have started to exist. One is created, one isn't. So both of them are assumed to be getting older.
Yeah, and if the universe was eternal, it'd never get to where it is.
But we're not talking about an eternal universe. We're not talking about an eternal.
That's also a wrong statement.
What universe are you talking about?
What you're basically saying is that if we have an infinite amount of numbers, which we have, we can't get from 1 to 2, yet we can.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah,
I do think he answered the question. I'm just wondering what the next question would be.
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the fact that, okay, we can dismiss that the universe is a creation because we don't have any tools to find out whether or not it was created or not, because we don't have the concept of something that isn't created, so we can't differentiate between the two.
There's so much I had to let go of.
Well, then you actually believe that that you can use the laws of logic to differentiate between the two.
What? No. All we're not doing is believing the claim that you're putting forth that says that this is a creation instead of just here. We're not we're just not believing that this was created by someone. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, now you're telling me what you believe.
To us, the universe is the universe, and to you, it's something different. And the way that it's different, you can't tell us why it's different. And
yeah, because you got to realize you're asking me what I believe. Peter, here's what I believe. I believe in the beginning God created it. That's where we stop. I answer my question.
Still talking. It's useless to start talking about a creation if you can't tell us what a creation is. So,
well, I mean, at the same time, we did ask him what he believes, and he's just telling us that we can ask him. So, what does it mean to be created versus not created? How would that?
Yeah, that would be my "why do you believe it" question, and that's the one that he's avoiding, and that he has been avoiding from the very start of the talk.
If it's okay, I'd like to bring this back.
I don't think there is such a thing as no creation.
Okay. If it's okay, I'd like to bring this back to something you said a little bit earlier. When I had asked, when was it that you came to saving belief in Jesus Christ? And you said that you had repressed this knowledge. I was wondering if the knowledge that you're saying you've repressed was knowledge of simply the existence of a God, not even specifically this God, and not or if the knowledge you repressed was specifically that of the second person of the Trinity. I understand that Jesus is God, but I also understand that that God is not Jesus. The Father is not Jesus. The Father is not the Holy Spirit. They are three distinct persons. And so God is not Jesus, but Jesus is God, but they're three separate persons in one, right?
No.
Okay, this is a different, so you have a different idea of the Trinity that I'm used to. If you could maybe
Yeah.
go into that part, I'd be grateful.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I'm glad you asked that question. We don't believe there's three persons in the
Okay.
Godhead. We believe there was only one person, and that was the person of Jesus Christ.
So Jesus Christ is the Father. What, or would you say he's the Father? Is that a description that you'd use?
No, what is the Father? God displayed himself as Father in creation, the Son in regeneration, and as salvation, and the Holy Spirit as another operation. We don't believe that. We don't believe the three distinct persons.
So they're actually three different types of manifestations of the one God.
That's right. Exactly. You said it. Yeah.
All right. So then when we're talking, so then the knowledge of Jesus that you had at the age of 17, that came about simply not necessarily because of hearing, but because you started, I shouldn't say started, you stopped repressing that knowledge that you had from birth. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
What would you say to Paul in Romans 10 when he said, "For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved"? How then can they call on the one that they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone to preach? And how can they preach unless they were sent? So in this, unless you're disagreeing with Paul, which is definitely a possibility, I'd like your thoughts on that. But unless you're disagreeing with Paul, I'd wonder what you'd respond to him, who seems to be very strongly suggesting that this knowledge cannot be arrived at until you hear of it. This specific knowledge. I'm not talking about the internal knowledge that a God exists. I'm talking about saving knowledge of Christ. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, because I believe in occasionalism. Occasionalism is this, that actually I understand that Khrushchev knew the New Testament by heart. He could quote every verse in the New Testament, but Khrushchev was not a Christian. So just reading the Word of God does not make you a Christian. So I believe in occasionalism. Occasionalism is that when you read the Bible, God uses the occasion to lead you to salvation, not through your material brain, but through your mind.
But Paul also says, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. How can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? Paul would seem to disagree with your take on this, and I'm wondering what you would do with that. And how might you compare your beliefs with that of the average evangelical Christian in America?
Well, he went to Athens, and when he was in Athens, he preached at that particular point. They took him up to the temple and said, "Come on, we want to hear what you have to say." Not everybody heard him was a Christian.
I'm not saying they were. I'm asking you what your response to Paul.
Because you just read that verse, and he that hears will be saved. Yeah, the ones that are open will be saved.
Right, but the ones that are open, I'm talking. Okay, I'll go to the ones that are open and are then saved. They, according to Romans 10, would have come to this saving knowledge through what they heard, and not because it was in them prior.
Well, then you're getting into, like, for instance, Rhoda, who God opened her heart to accept the word of God. So God opened her heart. You're leaving out the operation of God and Spirit working on an individual.
I don't think I am, and here's why. He can open her heart to accepting what she's hearing, but that doesn't say that he is opening her heart to the knowledge that she already previously had. Paul would still disagree with that type of thinking here in Romans 10. It's 10, 14, 15, I don't know. It's somewhere in Romans 10, I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me right. I'm jumbling up the verse a bit. I can look it up here. So I was just kind of wondering about your take on it and how.
Well, you got to realize in the Old Testament that God had a different dispensation of what people should do to be saved. So you have different dispensations down through the ages, but they all foreshadowed what would happen in the New Testament.
Can I ask a quick question? Because John, you said you didn't want to talk about the Bible. Now we're completely down to talking about the Bible.
That's right. That's right, Peter.
So have you changed? Can we use the Bible?
Well, it looks like you are. I wanted to talk about how we know things.
Well, you started talking about the Bible by quoting verses.
Because your questions led to that.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious because you said you weren't going to do that, and yet now you are doing that.
I'm going by your question. I'm going by your questions, Peter. Peter, the questions lead to it. You don't ask.
I'm just a little bit confused.
You won't let me ask the question. You won't let me ask the question.
I'm a little bit confused because you said you didn't want to go to the Bible. And when I asked you a question, then you went to the Bible. Because
your question led to the Bible, Peter. Now, okay. I'd rather talk about how we know things.
Yes. So my question would be, because when you were born, you couldn't read the Bible. And I'm presuming that it would have taken you at least, well, let's say 4 years before you were able to read the Bible. So reality didn't exist in the first 4 years of your life?
No, I already knew the laws of logic before I was born.
Ah, okay.
Without any sense experience.
Ah, okay.
What is necessary in the human body for one to know anything?
For one to know anything?
Yes.
Well, first of all, if you're going to say you know through your material brain, it won't work because the material, you can't make a syllogism based on your material brain as producing thought.
So if you're saying that we know something through something that is immaterial, that I'm guessing you're not saying that this can be measured. Essentially, this doesn't even occur in reality. No reality that can be confirmed.
You're right. Hey, Peter, she's smarter than you are.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. He's a pretty smart cookie. The problem here is
people she is.
the problem here. A lot of the problem here is that there's a big language barrier. He's Dutch, so try to give him some leeway. If I was trying to speak Dutch, well, first of all, I'd be unintelligible, which I am most mornings anyway. You got me on a good day. But if there's something that you're saying exists without there being any evidence of that, what is a reason that we should take you at your word?
Something exists.
You're saying that a part of us exists that is outside our, as you said, material brain. This something allows us to know something. Yeah. And I'm wondering why we should take you at that word.
First of all, down in Australia, they have discovered that that the mind can actually train the brain. And they've done several.
What is the mind, if not the brain?
The mind is the immaterial brain.
Where do you get this?
Well, because if I wanted to use a verse, and I don't want to go to the Bible, it says, let the mind of Christ be in you. The mind of Christ, well, you know that's not talking about the human brain, the material brain. So because you cannot make a syllogism that the material brain can produce immaterial thought. That's impossible.
You mentioned a study from Australia. Could you cite that so that everybody can go research that later?
I think you'd have to look it up on the internet. It's been a long time since I looked it up, but there was 2 or 3 professors down there that said you can actually use your mind to train your brain. The brain.
Why should we go by something that two professors said?
Well, because when you try to logically make the material brain produce immaterial thought, it doesn't work.
If it's
Okay,
immaterial,
so
if we could, just a second, Peter, if it's immaterial, if we have no way of knowing that what you're talking about is real, or what these two professors are talking about is real, then why should we take them at their word? Is this peer-reviewed research?
Oh.
Has it been peer-reviewed?
Yeah, it's been peer reviewed, but now see, you're getting into evidential, and I don't like to get into that. Ordinarily, I don't talk about professors down in Australia, but I'm just trying to show you that there's a little bit of evidence there. Most people that don't believe in the Bible do not want to take evidence because you shoot it down. But I'm just saying, the syllogism, if you can't put in a syllogism with a major premise, universal major premise, that the material brain can produce immaterial thought, then the material brain is not the source of thought.
Well, if there is not evidence for that, then I really have no reason to accept it. Sorry.
Oh, good. But the trouble is, if you want evidence,
hold on.
Let me finish with her.
No, I'm not going to let you finish because this is our show. If I want to talk, I'm going to talk, and if you don't stop talking, I'll just mute you. I have a question.
Okay.
So two professors are saying this. All of the other professors are not saying this. Can you tell me why you are going to these particular two and dismiss everyone else? Is there a good reason to do that?
I'll tell you why, Peter, because if I had 1,000 that said the mind, that the material mind, brain could not produce immaterial thought, if I had 1,000 of them, you would say that's not enough.
Hold on. No. Could I ask another question here?
That was not my question.
Okay.
You're saying
I like the way that you again go to a completely dishonest way of telling me what to think or what I think. I'm asking you.
Okay.
And
I'll answer it, Peter.
I am the honest one in this conversation.
Okay, I'll answer it.
Oh, John, I'll have to meet you again. I'm sorry I have to do this all the time.
I'll answer it.
You don't seem to know that you are the guest here, and we're setting the rules, and we'll stick to our rules, whether you like it or not. It's our show. When we want to talk,
you want me to answer it? You want me to answer?
You don't get to cut us off.
You want me to answer?
I like it that you are dishonest in telling me what I think. I'm asking you why you take the word of two unknown guys in Australia over everyone else.
Because they back up the syllogism.
Okay, so you believe them because it lines up with the way you think.
No, because it lines up with a valid syllogism. That the material brain...
It lines up with what you think is a valid syllogism.
with a valid syllogism.
No, because your syllogism isn't valid to me.
So how do you know it? But prove it wrong. Prove my syllogism is wrong.
I don't have to prove it's wrong. I don't.
Well, you can't just say it's wrong.
I don't have to
say that we don't accept
wrong.
I don't have a burden of proof because I'm not making a claim. I'm just
that would be trying to
prove a claim that it wasn't any good. Now back it up.
I'm just saying I don't believe
that's not how evidence works. That's a logical fallacy. It's called trying to prove the negative. That's why it doesn't happen in a court of law. Moving on.
Then stop saying it's not valid.
It isn't.
No, it isn't. It has to be valid. You have to be able to prove a positive. And if you don't, then it's not yet valid. Just make it valid.
Okay. Immaterial things cannot come from material. The brain is material, therefore it cannot produce immaterial thought. Disprove that.
That's incorrect.
No, I don't have to disprove it. You have to prove that it can.
It's already complete. The syllogism is complete.
It's also incorrect.
You have to refute it.
No, I don't. You have to prove it. I don't have to refute anything.
That is the proof. A syllogism is a proof.
No, that's a claim.
Not.
Okay, then prove the syllogism. Then find fault with the syllogism.
I don't have to. You have to prove.
Well, then my syllogism stands.
No, it doesn't.
Unless you can disprove it.
No, that's the burden of proof isn't on us to disprove. You have to
Okay.
prove your claim.
Is my major premise wrong? Is my minor wrong? And is the
Yes.
conclusion wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Where is my major wrong?
Your mind is wrong because you don't understand the burden of proof. If you're
I
going
said
to make,
this-
if you
I
don't,
said-
if you make a claim, it's up to you to present evidence for
I
your
did.
claim.
My
Hold
evidence.
on.
My
This is
evidence
getting
is
into
my
Peter.
evidence.
Peter
my
is
evidence
getting us
is
on
my
semantics. Just a second, Peter. He's getting us on semantics. When you're saying that he is wrong, then he's getting you on making a claim that he's getting you on a positive claim instead of saying he's wrong. This is a war of semantics here. Just say, I don't accept that what you're saying is true. I have no reason to accept it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's
I
just a
don't-
game of semantics. So don't worry about it.
I don't accept anything he has said so far because
I don't accept anything you said so far. Does that prove anything? I
Doesn't
don't
matter.
accept anything you've said so far.
That's fine. I don't
And
care.
you know why? Because I don't accept anything you said so far.
also
And
That's
you know
fine.
why? Because I don't accept
Nobody
anything you said
cares.
so far.
I'll have to mute John again because John, what you're trying to do is tell us that opinions matter. Opinions don't matter.
Here's why I don't care if you accept what we've said so far is right. We're not trying to deconvert you. We don't care if you accept what we say. We're asking you what you believe and why. Whether you believe us is immaterial, it doesn't even matter. So I don't care. I mean, you can get mad about it, but it's
Then
neither here
don't
nor
make a
there.
knowledge claim against my knowledge claim.
We can do what we want. And here's the thing.
Well, and if you make a knowledge
second.
claim against my knowledge claim, then I have a right to make a claim against your knowledge claim.
Yes, you do.
It's only fair. And I did. I said my syllogism stands unless you can disprove it.
We're not saying that. Hold on.
This
Just a second.
reminds me.
Oh,
This
God
reminds
damn it,
me of
Peter.
this of my childhood. It's like watching 2-year-olds fight over a
Okay,
toy.
hold on. Yes, if you don't agree with a knowledge claim that we make, you don't have to accept it. So what? Who fucking cares? I don't care if you accept a knowledge claim that I make, especially if I don't bring any supporting evidence with it. It's no skin off my back. I can make one. You don't have to accept it. I don't fucking care. If you make a knowledge claim and don't provide decent supporting evidence, I'm not going to accept it. You shouldn't care either. I mean, you can. I don't care if you do. I mean, if I bring up a claim and I don't support it, there is no reason you should take it.
Well, let me explain what a syllogism is. A syllogism starts with a major truth, and then the minor the major is applied to the minor, and then you draw a conclusion. My major premise was that a material thing cannot produce immaterial thought. And if you can disprove that, let me see you do it.
I'm going to read the
No.
definition of syllogism for all of the audience. That way everybody can know what it is we're talking about. For those who don't know what this word is, it is a noun, an instance of a form of reasoning in which a conclusion is drawn, whether validly or not, from two given or assumed positions or premises, each of which shares a term with the conclusion and shares a common or middle term not present in the conclusion. For example, all dogs are animals, all animals have 4 legs, therefore all dogs have 4 legs.
That's correct.
Yes, I know it's correct because it is straight from the dictionary.
Right.
I do not need to be told it's correct. Of course it's correct.
You can have a bad syllogism if your major is not true. And so my major is some material object cannot produce immaterial thought.
Yeah, but so someone in the chat already threw it in. Thoughts aren't immaterial. I have a different question.
Oh, it's very important.
I have a different question. You can hear me talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Me talking to you, the sound that I make, is that material? Is sound material?
Yeah, sound is waves in the air.
Sound is waves in the air. Is it?
That's right. You're moving molecules and atoms.
So movement of molecules, is that material?
Yeah, that's air. You can weigh air. How about how many pounds of pressure do you put in your tire?
That wasn't my question.
No, you asked if air it can weigh something.
Movement.
Sure it can.
Movement is movement material.
Yeah, because when you move something, it causes friction.
Is movement material, movement as such?
What do you mean movement? You talk about the concept of movement?
Yes.
Concept is immaterial.
Ah.
That's an abstract.
What I'm doing with my vocal cords is causing movement, which is immaterial.
No, which is material. No, your word is immaterial. The concept.
You just
But
said
the air moving.
You just said movement is
No,
immaterial.
you want me to define the word abstract? If abstract of movement.
I'm
the
going
reality
to cut you off
I'm talking
again.
about.
You
the
just said
reality
movement is immaterial.
Air,
We can go back.
Move air that's made of atoms.
Video. You said movement is immaterial.
I said correct? The concept of movement. The concept of movement, not the air itself.
Okay.
So don't try to make a straw man out of it.
So I can make a concept come into being with my vocal cords. I can make an immaterial concept come into being with my vocal cords. Is that correct?
You can also write the laws of logic on a blackboard and then erase them, but the laws of logic would still exist because they're immaterial.
I don't care about a blackboard or the laws of logic.
I know that.
I care about making a concept come into being with my vocal cords.
That's air movement again. You're back to molecules.
And what is air movement?
It's molecules and there's friction. And air has pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you're back to material.
Is the air still there during the movement, before the movement, and after the movement?
Well, air better be there or you're not going to be breathing long.
So what did I introduce when I was talking?
You know,
folks, what did I do to the air when I'm talking?
You moved it around. You moved it around.
Yes, I moved it around. Is material? Is that material?
That's material, yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you capture a word and put it in a box? If it's
you can't. No, you can't, and that's why you can't put.
Why not? It's material. You just said it's material. So,
what's material? What is material?
You said a word is material.
A word.
Yeah.
No. What the word represents will be material.
It isn't material.
What is?
A word isn't material?
Are you talking about words that you say?
I'll say a word. I'm looking at your avatar. I'm looking at your avatar that says who. Let's take the word who.
Yeah.
Is that material?
You mean when you write it down?
No. When I say it.
When you think it?
When I say it.
Are you talking about the word itself or the process of
Listen, I'll dumb it down because you don't seem to
I'll
dumb it down because you don't seem to grasp the concept.
Rip headphones wearers.
I'm going to say a word. Here's the word. Who?
Did you think that word who?
Did you hear the word who?
Who's on first?
Did you think it when you said who?
What's on second?
Did you hear me say the word who?
I don't know who's on third.
I heard the sound.
Did you hear me say the word who?
I heard the sound.
That's not an answer to my question, so I'll keep repeating it until
Well, if I heard the sound, I heard who.
It is a yes or no question. Did you hear me say the word who?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Can you put that word into a box for me? I'll give you my
yeah,
address.
I can.
You can.
I can put it into a box. All I have to do is be there when you blow that word out, and I'll
I
capture
already
it.
did.
I'll
I already
capture it.
did.
I'll
I
capture it.
already did, and it's already out there, and you
Well,
heard
then
it.
you
Can
should have
you?
caught it. Then you should have caught it and sent it to me.
No, you said
Yeah,
it's material. You said it's material. So grab it for me, please.
that's right. Those airwaves, you should have caught them and sent them to me.
That's what
No,
he
no.
said.
I already said the word. You said it's material. Can you
It's
grab
material,
it?
and it was material when you move the airways with it.
Okay, if it's material, can you grab it now for me, please?
That's what he said.
Yeah, catch it in a box. Those the waves that you sent out with the word "who," but you forget about them.
Do you have it in your hands right now?
Well, if I was there, but I don't want to make the trip to Holland.
No, you don't have to make the trip to Holland. Do you have it in your hands right now?
But let me ask you a better question. Did you have to think?
No, I'm not going to let you derail this conversation because I'm trying to make a point.
It's already been derailed. It's already been derailed. It's material.
I'm going to mute you. I'm going to ask you the question until you answer me. Do you have the word "who" in your hands right now?
If I was there with you.
So that's a no?
No. Those airwaves that the "who" made out of your mouth, I would have to capture them as they came out as molecules
I'm
there.
going to mute you again. Go grab the word "who" and get back to me when you have it in your hands. Go.
I think we're getting confused between the word as a concept and the saying of it, which would actually be material.
Hey, put me out with Charis, will you? Peter, you're not smart enough to talk to me.
Charis, what I'm trying to do is he told me that the word "who" was material. I want him to grab it.
I think I'm not sure if he meant the concept is material. I'm actually thinking he meant the saying of it.
At this point, I don't care because we have working definitions of what is and what isn't material.
And
so
we should always try to find out what the other person means, though.
Charis, what you should say to him when he thought the word
if
"who,"
it is material,
he should
grab the word "who."
The thought of the word is immaterial.
Y'all are gonna make me take a Midol, and I'm not even on my period.
The thought the word "who" came from the brain.
Damn, both of you.
I'm waiting for him to grab the word "who" and when he has it in his hands, get back to me. So I'm waiting for that.
Charis, I want him to say the word "who" without moving the air.
He's still not going to answer my question anymore.
You guys are really going to make me make sure that I have something nice and big in my hands later.
Yeah.
Hey, Charis, tell him to say the word "who" without moving the air.
He's now slowly realizing that what he says is nonsense and he can't do what he actually claimed.
Well, don't tell me what I'm thinking. Don't tell me what I'm thinking.
And he's still talking while he's muted, so that's kind of funny. John, do you have the word "who" in your hands already?
John, Peter means the immaterial concept of the word. Work with him here.
John has muted himself.
He's probably still talking too.
Yeah, because
John, please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself because it won't work. I'm muting you in a different way so I can unmute you again. So clicking that button won't help.
Okay, you got it. Do it again.
You're still muted.
One more time.
One more click.
Yeah, it's not a double click. There you go.
There you go.
I'm in?
Yes.
Oh, so you let me talk now, huh?
Yes. I want to know if you got the word "who" in your hands already.
Well, here's what happened. You thought the word "who" with your brain. That was immaterial. When you came out of your mouth, when the word "who."
No.
Let me finish.
You cut
into my sentence. Hey, Charis, tell him to let him finish my word.
Because I'm not letting you derail this.
I'm going to mute both of you and have a stiff drink.
You told us the word "who" was material, so grab it. And now John has muted himself. John, unmute yourself and don't mute yourself again, because if I mute you, you can't unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Peter
When you
is talking here about the
when you use your brain, when you use your brain to think the word who, it was immaterial.
Well,
When it
that
came out,
actually, no. Physically, using your brain to think something is
Wait,
actually
hold on,
material.
hold on. He just made a major mistake.
It's a mistake in biology. I understand what the mistake is. He doesn't know that the thinking of something is
Charis, hold
material.
on. Charis,
no,
hold on.
I'm telling you what you think.
He told us earlier that a material thing can produce something immaterial.
I'm only
And
telling
now-
you what I'm only telling you
and
what
now-
you believe. I'm
and
telling you
now-
what you.
And now
No,
he's telling.
no,
and now
no,
he's
no,
telling us-
no,
and
Peter,
now he's-
no, Peter, no, Peter. I'm
Okay.
telling you what you believe. You believe that the material brain
Okay,
produces
and-
an immaterial thought.
And we already
I'm saying
told
that
you
when
that
you
you're
have the
not
immaterial
allowed
thought
to
come out
tell
of your
us
brain.
what we believe, because you get it wrong every
Okay,
single time.
then
and
I'll
you
have
get
to
it
say
wrong.
this.
All right,
Then I'll have to
guys,
say,
neurology.
then
When
I'll
you're
have to
thinking
say
of
this.
something,
I'll have to
this
say
is
this.
very
Your
material. The
material
thoughts
brain
that are
cannot
happening.
produce immaterial thought. Your
The-
material brain cannot produce immaterial
He's still
thought.
talking, Charis. It's completely useless. He
The
doesn't.
act
want
of
to-
thinking is material. This is just basics of neurology.
The act.
That's the
Right.
act of thinking, yes.
Okay, then show me how that material brain can produce immaterial thought.
I'm not here to educate you on
Thought-
neurology, so no.
Okay.
Thought-
So here's what I believe.
John,
Here's what I believe.
John. Thought
Yeah.
is not immaterial.
Now
It
the
is-
thoughts, now the specific thoughts that you think, that can be immaterial. And that's where the thinking of the word comes in. The concept of word, yes, that's immaterial. The thinking, the act of thinking of that concept is not immaterial.
The thought is immaterial.
Thinking is material. The
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
is material, but the concept is immaterial.
Here's the neurons moving around in your brain. They
That's
believe
material, right?
They believe it produces immaterial thought, and that's impossible.
Immaterial concepts. Thought is material.
Thought is immaterial, and if you
Thought
write a
is
word out,
material.
Thought
no,
is
thought
material.
is not material.
No,
Thought
thought
is
is an
immaterial.
action.
The laws of
We
logic.
can actually make thought visible.
Mhm.
So it
That
is.
thought can be measured. Emotion that goes with that thought, all of that can be measured.
Then
That
you're back
is-
you're back to the material brain with the electricity and the neurons and the chemicals
Yes.
and the
That
electricity.
is-
That is not
yes.
thought. That is just
Yes.
that's material things moving around in your brain.
I'm
The
thinking
thought
about
that
thought
comes
as an
from it-
action.
The thought that comes from it cannot be material. Otherwise, I could weigh your thoughts.
I just agreed with you when I said the concept is immaterial. We're using two different words for the same thing. You're
Well-
saying thought is immaterial. I'm saying concept. I'm using the word concept for when you're saying thought. When I'm saying that thought or thinking is material, I'm talking about the act of. That is a material act. That is a concrete act that is measurable. It is visible on scanners,
Yeah.
etc.
Well-
When I'm talking, your word with thought being immaterial, is my word concept that I'm using over here.
Well, yeah, they're in a concept and immaterial is the same thing. Yeah, right. You can't go down. You can't say how tall is love. It's immaterial. It's a
Yeah,
concept.
something like that. Yeah, but the
Right.
thinking of it, that's
The
material.
process. But I'm
The
thinking
process.
I'm saying what the unbelievers believe. They believe that the material brain produces immaterial thought, and that's impossible because
No.
then I could weigh your thoughts.
No, I do believe that my material brain, in the material act of thinking, is producing immaterial concepts.
Charis,
Okay.
do you have the side
Oh,
chat?
concept. Well,
Do you have the
concepts and
side-
thought are the same thing.
Charis, do you have the side chat running?
I do.
Okay.
Thoughts
because God is in the side chat and he asked an awesome question.
Oh no.
You could think apple, and that'd be a thought out of your material brain. That thought about an apple is immaterial, even though the material thing was the apple.
I agree. Okay. What are
Yeah.
you getting at?
I'm just saying that thought, a cause and effect. You need to think of cause and effect. The brain, your position is the material brain, which is the cause, produces a effect, which is thought. The thought cannot weigh something; it's immaterial. Whether you're thinking of a concept, whether you're thinking of a concept,
it doesn't have to weigh something.
When you're thinking of a concept or anything,
it doesn't have to weigh something to be material.
Well,
electrons don't necessarily weigh something,
okay.
but they are still there. They're still measurable.
Can you go down to the store and buy a pound of logic?
No.
No, it's immaterial.
Sure.
But you can think it. There's thoughts.
Yes, those are the concepts.
The thoughts that come from your material brain cannot.
We're not disagreeing.
Good. And you know what that leads to? That humans cannot be the source of the laws of logic.
That's a huge leap, and I disagree with that.
It can't come from the material brain.
What? What can't come from
the laws of logic? The laws of logic cannot come from material brain.
Okay.
So the laws of logic didn't come from humans. It had to come from another source.
The laws of logic are not prescriptive. They're descriptive.
No, I could prove that false too, because they have to be prior to thinking.
Exactly. They're descriptive, not prescriptive.
No, you prior have to have them prescriptive to be able to describe.
No.
Yes. If I don't have the laws of logic prior, and I see a rock, and I don't know that a rock has to be a rock, it's equal to its own identity, then when I don't know the law of identity and I see the rock could be and not be at the same time.
Hold on, you're putting too much importance on yourself. Humans.
Charis, God is in the side chat and he's telling you that you're killing his mind. He wants to be saved.
Oh, we got a question from a person?
Oh, we've got people
we're talking to God right now.
are going crazy in the side.
Well, see, you had a good
because
you had a good guess.
And you know why? Because this conversation isn't progressing. What you're trying to do is catch us on semantics. And
yeah, I'm not interested.
No, I'm trying to catch you through your brain.
Just a minute.
It's not for me at least. It's not working. I still don't know what you believe, and I still don't know why you believe it.
I knew Peter, you wouldn't know because I listened to your conversation with Cy.
Oh my God! Essentially, John, what you were just saying was that you were putting. Yes, Peter.
I didn't want to mute him this much, but John doesn't let us talk. We went for one question.
If you add up the talk, you beat me.
What I would be curious about is why is he avoiding to tell us what he believes?
That's all I'm talking about. I've been talking about the laws of logic.
John, I'm sorry, but I do not actually think that you are the sum of your beliefs on logic.
No,
that is not.
It takes a while. It takes a while to catch on, and if you had caught on earlier, maybe you'd still be a Christian.
What?
If we were so far out of reality as you are, maybe we would be. If we wouldn't care.
Stop it. That's unnecessarily insulting. Don't do that, Peter.
I was just returning insults because I thought what he said was insulting to me.
Don't sink to his level. We are not him.
No,
we have higher standards for ourselves, and we need to abide by those. Yep. All right, let him talk.
He can talk. He's not muted.
Oh. You wait for me to talk so you can talk?
Stop it.
No, I don't believe it.
Stop it. Saying I don't believe something isn't an attack.
Well, let's do a sum up. First of all,
just a minute. Don't remember whose show it is.
Yeah.
We can go back to.
Are you waiting for me to talk, or there's silence there? You want me to talk, or you? Go ahead.
Well, you just said let's do a sum up, and I'm saying that is kind of starting to take control of the show again. Let's not.
No, I thought we were out. I thought we were out of time.
No, we're not out of time.
No, we're not out of time yet.
How long we been at this? 2 hours?
Probably. No, not quite, because
No,
about an
not-
hour and a
not-
half. Because
not-
we got a
not-
late start.
The
not-
material
not-
brain cannot keep going after 2 hours. Then it starts
Oh, damn it.
producing.
This
Oh,
is my
speak for
fault.
yourself.
I can't even talk. We're coming up close to an hour now.
Mhm.
An hour.
Also, speak for yourself. You may not have the endurance, but I do.
Impossibility of the contrary.
Yeah. So can you demonstrate how it's impossible for God to not exist?
Because when you ask for evidence, that presupposes truth, and truth presupposes God.
Okay. Nice, but that's not how I presuppose. So I can just dismiss what you just said. Can you?
Do you understand what I just said? Please explain to me what I just said.
You told me
Yeah,
I don't have the endurance.
You
Fuck
made
you.
you made an assumption about how I think, what I think, and
No,
what I think. And you were wrong. And you were wrong on all.
How
three.
do you understand? How do you understand what I just said? Evidence presupposes
because unlike you, I listen to what you say.
Okay,
God in the
well,
side
you
chat
see-
is going to turn all the water into wine for all of us. So
And what did I mean
Yeah.
when I said that? And what did I mean when I said that?
I don't even care what you meant.
Ah,
because it was
now we
irrelevant.
see
It was
you
irrelevant.
don't care.
It was
Peter
irrelevant
doesn't care.
because it was
He wants to
irrelevant.
talk with somebody, but they don't care what they say.
Oh, this is going to be so much fun having the mute button. I don't
it's
care.
almost like
what-
wielding a whip, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
so
care. I don't care what you say, because if you're going to make assumptions about what I think, it's irrelevant.
No,
to
I'm telling you what I think.
everyone.
I'm telling you what I
Because
think.
you're going to
I
be
think-
wrong. You're not
No.
omniscient.
No.
You're not even clairvoyant. So please stop doing that. And please
Doing what?
stick to what
I
we tell
said-
you that we think.
Oh,
Evidence-
Wonder Lady was asking.
Evidence presupposes truth, and truth presupposes God. What do I mean by that?
That means that you're spouting nonsense that you can't back up with evidence.
Okay, then show me how it's nonsense.
No, I
No,
don't
you have to
show
prove
you.
that what you just said, namely that truth presupposes God, you have to
Yeah.
show that this is in fact true.
Yeah.
Okay, if I add evidence up enough, I can get the truth. Is that right? If I get enough evidence, I can find the truth, right?
That was not my question.
No.
I thought you wanted me to explain what I just said.
And the answer to that question is no, by the way.
No,
My
what?
question was, how does truth presuppose God? Not my question was not, how does getting enough evidence prove truth or anything like that. I'm going from truth to God.
I was trying to explain that.
Okay.
We have a question. We have a question from the side chat.
Evidence presupposes
We
truth.
have a question. We have a question from the side chat that I want to throw in. Can you demonstrate that truth demonstrates God?
Yeah,
Truth presupposes God.
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate that?
exactly. Because evidence presupposes truth, and truth
That's
presupposes
the
God.
rehash. That's the rehash of the claim. Can
Yeah,
you
that's
prove
restating.
that?
Let me finish. Let me finish, will you, Peter?
I will if you start finishing and don't.
I did, but I
repeating.
wasn't done. You're doing the same thing with size you're doing with me. You won't let me finish. Evidence presupposes truth, and truth presupposes God. When you use evidence to find the truth, and you use the scientific method, you never can come to the truth. Therefore, it's impossible using evidence to come to the truth.
That is
And
a
because-
huge box of claims.
Let me finish. Let me finish. And then the only way that we can get truth for certain is that we have to go to God.
That is not
Yeah.
even wrong.
Yeah.
And the reason
that was rehashing your claim. So now, please, one part of that claim, the last part, demonstrate that is necessary.
no, because to know anything for certain, you would have to know everything. And
No.
only God can know everything.
No, No.
Yes. Yes.
I can know. So I have a car. I know for certain that I have a car, but I don't know everything. There. I just disproved your claim.
Okay.
I can demonstrate I own a car because I own what is in the US called a pink slip. It's different here. We have something
did you
different.
use induction? Did you use it?
I can produce the pink slip. I can have other
Okay,
people.
okay,
I
okay.
can have,
So you know you got a car.
I can have, I'm going to finish this whether you like it or not. I can produce the pink slip. I can have people check whether or not the pink slip is valid. I can have them talk to the agency in Holland that will issue you with the pink slip and have them confirm that this car actually is owned by me. Then I can show you the car. I can let you make pictures of the car. I even can let you ride in the car. So I have multiple lines of evidence to produce that my car is real. So what I'm trying to ask you is do something similar with the fact that we need God to as a basis for knowledge.
Well, I don't believe that is your car.
Great, but
You
I
didn't
can
get.
still I can still sufficiently prove it to
No,
you and to everyone else.
You didn't give me enough evidence.
No, I
Yes,
didn't.
I don't believe it, Peter.
I
I don't believe that's your car. Now
Okay,
prove me
so
wrong. You
okay.
didn't give enough evidence.
God
Because
gave
I'll tell you
God,
why.
God
I'll tell
gave
you why.
me,
I'll
God
tell
gave
you
me
why.
that.
Let me finish. I'll tell you
No,
why.
I'm
I'll
not going to
finish.
let you
I got to
finish.
tell you
I'm
the
going to
reasons why.
present
I got
another
to tell
piece
you the
of
reasons
evidence.
why. I got to tell
God
you the
gave me
reasons
that
why.
car
I got to tell
personally.
you the reasons
He
why.
came down
I
from the
got to tell you
heavens.
the
He was
reasons
an
why.
older guy
I
with a
got to
white
tell you the
beard, and
reasons
he gave
why.
me a car. Prove me wrong.
I just got back. Why are we talking about Gandalf?
Yeah, a little bit. So prove me wrong.
Okay, because for you to look at your car, you had to use your senses. Your senses are not always reliable. Therefore, I can't trust your senses.
I don't have to because I did it the way you did it. God gave
No, you
me.
didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
God,
I don't believe the people that said it was your car. I don't believe the paperwork that you used was your car.
God,
I don't
your
believe any of
God,
that stuff. I don't.
your God gave me the car. Charis, don't mute him. Let me do that because then I
know,
can
but
unmute him.
just a second though. I think everybody is putting way too much emphasis on our own perception of what happens and what doesn't. If something is real, us standing there and accepting it doesn't even matter. If I was to, that the usual argument, if you weren't in a forest but a tree falls, does it still make a sound? It does. You don't have to be there for it to make a sound. If Peter has a car and you're not sitting there to accept the fact, does he still have a car? He does. You don't have to be there to accept the fact. You're putting way too much emphasis on your own importance.
He has to unmute himself.
Yeah,
You
I know.
muted him.
He probably thinks that we can still hear him. I don't know.
He's just confident that it's his car, but he can't be certain it's his car. Maybe somebody moved in another car looks just like his.
I
Hey,
can be.
let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
And you're now turning into shouty preacher, so I'm
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Let me our show.
Now I know why
I don't let you speak. I don't let you speak. Period. It's no problem for me. I can just mute you. So, whatever you think is not important, and I don't care. It's still my car, and I can still prove it to everyone. No problem.
No, you can't. You didn't prove it to me. You didn't prove it to me. In fact, you can't even prove you're not a brain to that.
Well, now that I mean, why don't we just go to some Nazi argument? I mean, if we're going to go to all these ridiculous arguments, nothing can be done with that. I mean, if we're just going to brain in a vat, we're not getting anywhere with that. If we're going to go to Hitler arguments, we're not getting anywhere with that. If we're doing possibility arguments, we're not getting anywhere with that. I mean, just because something is possible, perhaps, does not make it probable. That's what the possibility argument is.
There's a difference between psychologically knowing for certain and logically knowing for certain. Now he wants to take that he's confident that he's certain, but all the evidence he gave me can all be shot down, so that he can't prove certain that is his car. He can't even.
The problem is you can't.
Actually, he could if he has the VIN number.
Oh, somebody else put that on there and fooled him.
What? But anyway, if he has the VIN number, yeah, he can prove
But
that
he's depending on his senses. He's depending on his senses. Yeah, your
well,
senses
depend on the VIN number. You can use every other.
Are you saying that your senses are always reliable?
You don't even have to rely on my senses.
Well, he did on his. He said, I looked at it, its color. I looked at the VIN number. That's senses. All those things have to do with senses.
Don't rely on one person's senses if that doesn't suit you.
He can go and hear other people's senses, but he's got to use his senses to listen to those senses.
Here's the thing. What he is saying has no relevance to whether or not that car is his.
No, he can be confident on the number of evidences he has, but it doesn't prove logical certainty. It only proves that he feels as though it's his car.
No,
those prove it his car.
Concrete documents are actually proof, and they're not reliant. They're not reliant on his senses.
He's got to use his senses to look at the paperwork, and he's still using his senses. He's trapped by his senses.
Well, I mean, if you're going to say that, then I mean, everything that you've said doesn't even matter if we have to use our senses to hear what you're saying. And if that's not good enough, then I can just throw out your entire conversation. And
exactly, the only way that you can listen to me is because you borrow from my worldview that you can make sense of your senses.
No.
Oh yes.
I can just say you're borrowing from my worldview that you can make sense of your senses.
Oh, if you want to borrow my worldview, fine. Then you've lost the debate.
If you'd like to borrow from my worldview, fine. You've lost the debate.
I would want to borrow from your worldview because...
I would want to borrow from your worldview because... See how easy it is to just assert all this?
I can tell you why.
I can tell you why. I mean, that's how easy this is. Like, you can say, I'm borrowing from your worldview as much as you want. But the thing is, you don't know what my worldview is.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
B. Russell, the professor from England, who's a great professor.
Ask B. Russell. Don't, ask B. Russell about his. Don't ask B. Russell about
No, I'm using now evidence. But Bertrand Russell said that induction.
Let's get Bertrand Russell in the call and then ask him what he thinks.
Induction, you can read it. You can read. He won awards. He won awards all over the place. Yeah, B. Russell said, when you use induction to prove something.
Talking, I'll mute him. Are you done yet, John? Did you hear what I said?
Here's the thing. You will not continue talking while you are telling me what I think. You will not continue talking while you're telling me what my worldview is. You can sit down and listen to my worldview, and you can sit there and take notes or don't. But you will not be allowed to continue talking while practicing some form of divination. That will not fly here.
I don't believe one word you said.
I don't give a shit. You will see the results.
And now you're showing you're not a Christian because you use vile language.
I'm not a Christian. I'm an atheist.
That's right. And you use vile language, and that's not very pretty with you.
I don't care what's pretty. I'm not here for your entertainment.
I know that because you're no longer a Christian, so it's easy to swear and everything.
I don't really care. I learned swearing from Christians, so, what? And I am not here for your decoration, so I don't care what you consider pretty. I'm not here for decoration. I'm not here to be a pretty picture. I'm not here for your enjoyment. That's not what a woman is. A woman is not an object for a man's enjoyment. A woman is a person, and I am your equal.
Yeah, and also we have had several Christians who were swearing. You can go and watch our videos. There's a guy called Craig Reed. Go watch the video with him and tell me that Christians don't swear. That doesn't fly here.
You
To
haven't
be
heard me
fair,
swear. You haven't
You've
heard me
I don't.
swear. You haven't
have
heard me
always,
swear.
Well, here's the thing. Every
yes, but you're
disgusting.
not a Christian.
Just a
You're
When you
not a
second.
swear,
Christian.
when you
You're not.
swear, let me tell
You're
Just
you
a
not
what
a.
second.
happens.
You're
When you
I'm
John.
going to
swear,
mute
You
both
are
of you.
not.
Let me talk. Now, it
Okay.
doesn't matter. Every disgusting concept that a person puts forth can be magnitudes worse than a swear word. What is worse? Some girl saying the word fuck, or some girl getting fucked against her will. There is nothing that compares against, there's no way some little filthy potty word compares to that. So don't come here with your, hackles all raised because Charis dared to say a bad word. You can just leave that at the door. Now, you want to talk here, you want to have a discussion and, pretend that, just continue having the discussion.
Karis, he wants to have a debate, and we already told him at the start of this that this is not going to be a debate. It's not going to be about who is correct and who isn't correct. We're giving him the opportunity to present his case and prove to us that he is correct.
I
I
did.
don't think
I did.
All he
I
is
did.
doing,
And you,
all he is doing so far is trying to prevent us from getting any proof or
I don't
evidence
even
that is
care if
based
he
on
has
science.
proof. He does not have to prove his worldview to me. I only
Well,
want him to tell us what his worldview is. Omit any of these, expletives, which I don't mean expletives as in little potty words. I mean expletives as in disgusting concepts.
what? Okay.
I don't even think that he knows what concepts are. He's just
I'm
running
not
he's
saying that
just
he's
running a
actually
script.
introduced a discussing concept. I don't think he has. I'm
He's
just
running
saying
a
that
script. He's running a script just
I
like
know.
Sci-10 does. And whenever we try to throw him off of his script, he's getting angry.
We don't even
And
have to try to throw him off his script. It's just he's brought a script that is not part of the show. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to do, but you've been told what the show is about. And this is about finding
No,
out.
I haven't. No, I've never been told about the show.
Do not call me a liar.
Yes,
He
you
never
have.
told me that I had to answer questions.
Yes,
That
you
you asked.
have.
Yes,
Before
we
we
did.
started,
I said we
before
talk
we
about the
started,
laws of logic, and you agree, Peter. You're lying.
no, we said we can talk about the laws of logic. We didn't say that that was the entire show. We told you what the entire show
Well, then,
was
if we can talk about the laws of logic, if we can talk about it, if we can talk
just
about it,
before, I'm going to mute you again because you don't seem to have the ability to listen. We told you what the show was and how it was going to go before we went live. You agreed to that.
A little bit
And
of advice. If you're going to come on here trying to lecture atheists on our conduct, you might start with making yourself the example.
yes,
Try it. Now, let's get back to the topic of the show. What do
yeah,
you believe in and why? We're not talking here about the rules of logic. You are not our professor. We are interviewing you.
well,
What do
okay.
you-
Okay, I'm a Christian because it changed my life.
Okay.
okay. How did it change your life?
Because I don't swear anymore.
Now you sound like a granny.
Yeah.
And church is my life.
So the definition of a Christian is someone who doesn't swear anymore.
Is that it? Like,
Oh,
I mean, is
That's
that
just
the
one of the things. That's just one of the things. I have new friends, and I look forward to my home in heaven.
I have new friends. Does that make me Christian?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just telling you about myself. and everything has changed in my life. People didn't even recognize me. That I was so much of a different person. It changed my life.
I don't recognize you. I talked to you yesterday. You were a completely different person yesterday.
No, I have to play.
Yes,
I got to play the part that you want me to be. It's changed my life, and I'm a brand new person.
You don't need to play a part, because if all you do is play a part, then you're being dishonest.
No, you don't want me to disagree.
And you're proving to us that being a Christian is just being a dishonest person.
But you only want me to stick to it. You only want me to stick.
And I don't think that that's what you want to do.
Is this the example of Christian behavior that you want to put forth for the unbelievers?
You laid down the rule that I cannot get into these other items. So I'm going to have to. I'm going
to cut you off right here. We laid down the rule that this is our show, that we will be asking you questions.
Okay, yeah,
and
okay.
we will expect you to answer.
Okay, then I will.
Other rules that were in this talk were rules laid down by you. You wanted to talk about the laws of logic, and you did not want to talk about the Bible.
I don't know.
Since we have started talking,
okay,
you have said almost nothing about the laws of logic, and you introduced the Bible.
Okay,
so you broke both.
You're right, Peter. You're right. You're right, Peter. Peter, you're right. I was very bad. Everything I did was bad. I had no truth at all. I didn't have a very intellectual presentation. Now I'm going back. I'm going to go back to.
I'm going to mute you again. I have a question for you, because I'm not going to be preached or lectured by someone.
I'm a Christian because it changed my life.
Are you interested in having a civil, cordial conversation?
Yes, I went to it. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian because it changed my life.
He's still talking. He didn't even hear the question.
I'm a Christian.
I'm
a Christian because it changed my life.
He's still talking. I feel like Matt Dillahunty talking to Stephanie Thomason. I'm having a terrible flashback now, because
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
And you're still talking.
Have you still talking?
Every time I'm taking off mute, he's still talking.
Are you still talking, Peter? Are you still talking?
Still talking.
Hey, are you still talking?
Are you still talking? Incredible.
Are you still talking,
someone
Peter?
Who is
Peter, are you still talking? Why are you still talking, Peter? Are you still talking?
And he's still talking.
Are you still talking, Peter?
We have to wait until he calms down. And
are you still talking, Peter? Peter, are you still talking? When are you going to stop talking?
And he's still talking. So, Charis, what do we do? If he keeps talking, I mean, I
answer. It changed my life. Go from there.
How?
I already told you.
Okay, the question that I asked, the last question that I've asked, do you have an answer to that?
What's that?
Could you restate your question, please?
Yeah. See, this, John, is why it's important for you to listen.
Ask your damn question, Peter.
I'm sorry, Peter. I should have listened.
Okay. Are you still interested in having a civil conversation, or
yes?
Is it just that you're too aggressive now, and
I don't want to get to intellectual thing. I'm just simply saying I'm a plain Christian, and Christianity changed my life.
Okay. How did it change your life?
It changed everything. It changed my view of the world. It changed my view of destiny. It changed my view of my status in the world.
Okay,
changed everything.
Now I have a question, because you said, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you said that you already knew about God when you were born. So how could it have changed anything?
Oh, because that was repressed. I already told you that.
At age 17, remember?
Yeah. So the fact is that if you repress something, you already know what you are repressing.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. So it
That's-
doesn't change. It doesn't change anything.
Oh,
You just rebel against something that doesn't change reality.
no,
Okay,
I stopped repressing and became a
No,
Christian.
what I'm saying is whether or not you think you are in a live call on a YouTube channel
Yeah,
doesn't change the fact that you are in fact on a live call in a YouTube channel. You can repress that thought
yeah.
as long as you want. It doesn't change reality. So you repressing the thought of God didn't change anything. So God couldn't have changed your world when you stopped repressing that
Well,
thought.
I don't know. It changed my life. I don't care what you say. Everything changed.
Then it's not reality, because if it didn't exist before
Oh,
you repressed it, if it didn't
oh,
exist before you,
it was,
if it didn't, oh damn it, John, please listen for once.
yeah.
If it didn't exist when you were repressing it, it probably didn't exist when you stopped repressing it. You
Oh,
just
oh, yeah, yeah.
made something up and then followed that.
No, it changed. The people didn't even recognize who I was after I became a Christian. They said, "Who was that guy?"
Well, at 17, you're able to grow a beard, so that's a possibility.
Yeah. Oh, you ought to try it. Change your life too.
I look at my picture. I think I have enough hair for all three of us.
oh my fucking god.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
it doesn't look like you can refute what I'm saying. I changed my life. You haven't proved that it changed.
There's no need
Okay,
to.
so I
Why
have
would why would
I
we
have
even need to? I mean,
I have
okay, so just a
No,
second, Peter.
I
Just a
must be
second.
right. I must be
Peter,
right. It changed my
Peter,
life.
hold on. Shut up, John. Okay, so even if it wasn't Christianity that I was converting to, let's suppose I go from a very sedentary person to suddenly going all into Taekwondo, and picked Taekwondo specifically because that's what I practice anyway. But suppose I'm completely sedentary. I live a completely
Watch this
sedentary
stuff.
life, and I go into martial arts.
Yeah,
That
your
will
life.
completely change my life. Completely, even affecting my personality, because it will boost confidence, it will make me more humble at the same time, etc. So, I mean, it's not that it's necessary that Christianity specifically is what's needed to change one's attitude, one's life, one's treatment of others. You may have had, I'm not saying that you didn't have a change. I'm saying that it's not necessary that Christianity be what comes into your life to make that change possible.
Oh, I disagree because my life was changed more than your life.
Peter,
Mhm.
your cue.
My life was changed more than your life. And the one that has the biggest change is the one that's right.
Okay, what changed in my life?
I just muted him.
Please, Karis, don't do that, because it'll take him half an hour to unmute himself again. Let me
He's
mute him.
learning. He's learning. He knows how to unmute. Unmute yourself. Don't make me use this whip, damn it.
But my change was greater than your change, so therefore I'm right.
No, my change was bigger than your change. I'm right.
Karis, let us
What?
let us test that claim. What change did I have, John?
Did you catch on to that? I don't know. Did you become a Christian?
I don't know. You said your change was bigger than mine.
Well, she brought up the fact that she went to Clyde.
In order to make that assessment, you have to know my change. So what was my change?
Well, I went by what she told me. She said in Taekwondo, she put an example that her life was changed, and I just said my change was greater than her change.
So you think Karis and I are the same person? Well,
He's not asking you about me. He's asking you about him.
Oh, what is he? Is he got a change? What's your change?
I don't know. You're the clairvoyant one. Tell me.
No, I'm saying we're talking about change now. And what is your change? Is my change greater than your change?
I was being humble about my changes, John. I didn't want to brag.
Well,
my changes were great. I was just being humble about it.
You were trying to prove that somebody could change, so they must be right too. But that's not true. My change is greater than your change.
No, my change is greater than your change.
And I'm greater than yours.
No, I'm greater than
I'm
yours.
curious.
I got
I'm
a
curious.
million. I got a million changes more than you.
Uh-uh.
I'm Charis. Let me have a go at this. Is my change bigger than yours?
What is your change? I don't know what it is yet.
No.
No what?
28 cents. That's my change.
So-
28 cents.
And I don't know what your change was.
Oh,
I
I can
have
tell
huge
you.
humility.
I can send you a whole book on it. You want a book on it?
No.
Be about 1,000 pages of all the changes.
My book's bigger than your book.
My book is bigger than that book.
Nuh-uh.
John, I'll ask you another question. A question that came up in the chat. A question that came up.
That question's falling down. You know why it fell down?
Shut the fuck up, John, when I'm talking.
Oh my God!
Oh, he's got to swear because he's losing.
No, because I'm trying to get your attention.
I swear when I'm winning.
I have a question from you for you from the chat.
Okay.
There's a friend of mine in the chat who's called Frustrated Atheist.
Yeah.
And he's asked several times now, please let me come on, please let me come on. And we have a format where we are the hosts and we can't just invite everyone on, but this guy desperately wants to talk to you.
Okay.
I can duck out so that there is still only 2 and not 3.
No, that's not going to happen. We're the hosts.
Why? What are you giving up?
No, he wants to bring in a third. He wants to bring in somebody else, and
No.
I switch evidential on him, which is induction.
My question would be.
My question. How many times you got to ask 3 questions?
Stop it.
I'm going to mute the child in the conversation so I can get a word out.
Now you're calling me names.
So we can do several things. We can set up a conversation between John and Frustrated Atheist.
Like a separate stream?
I would go. I tried.
Yeah, we can do that in a different stream. We could also do it in an after show. I was using
evidential.
If John wants to come on an after show where we can have more people in here.
So I got 3 million.
Have more people talking to him. So that would be my question. What would you prefer, John?
What's that?
Unlike you, we care about what you say.
And to be clear, the separate stream would be a separate conversation where you would be talking with Frustrated Atheists. The after shows are generally like an after party, and it's kind of a free for all.
Oh, you're gonna give up on me?
What? No, we're saying that there's another guy who wishes to talk to you, and after this one, we're not saying instead of this one, but we're saying after this one, you can go into another stream with him, or you can join an after party that is typical for these. We normally have an after party, after show where any participants can join, plus like in this case, it'd be like 7 others. I think it's a maximum of 10.
Yeah, the one that's coming on, has he got more than an 8th grade education?
He's better educated than you are. Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If we're going for insults, I think I can outdo everyone in this live stream.
Oh no! I got greater insults than all of you put together.
No, I got greater insults than all of you.
Because John, you are Christian. That's why.
No, I have nice ones that if your position was a horse, I'd have to shoot it to put it out of its misery.
Yeah. So what would you prefer, John? Because now we have 2 people.
I'll talk to your friend, but the one that wants to come on. I don't know if I want to go beyond that unless he wants to tie in with me and I talk to him later.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that when we end this talk, we set up an after show because we already have more people. Wonder Lady wants to come in. She's a very, very good friend of mine. So we already have 2 people who want to come in.
Well, I'm a little disappointed we stopped here because I was at number million change and I didn't have
We
any
do
competition.
not have to stop here. All we're saying is that
we
whenever
haven't-
this stops, then there are several options afterwards.
Yeah. Go ahead. Whatever you want to do, it's fine with me. I
Okay.
think this is very enjoyable.
For the people listening, when we end this conversation, I will put up
Geert Wilder.
an
Who's
after
that?
show.
When Islamics in Holland.
Can you get Wilder on there?
Geert Wilder.
Geert Wilder? Can you get him on?
Let's mute John, because John is now so uninterested in this conversation that he's having a separate one on his own with.
Oh yeah, I got my son here.
So after this one, I'll set up an after show where at the end of the after show there will probably be 2 frustrated atheists, the one who wants to come in and me.
Well,
So
we explained the one
that
coming.
goes.
We explained to the one coming on. We
so
explained.
Stick around. I'll make sure everyone gets the link. If you want to have a link, please DM me. Then I can send you the link to the after show, because I have to invite John in a different way because he's not on Twitter. So shoot me a link or shoot me a DM on Twitter if you want to come in on the after show, and I'll get you in.
Okay.
So back to the one who doesn't want to have a conversation with us, but with someone else. John, are you back?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because you were having a different conversation on a different.
Well, I got
my
son. I got my son here, and I'm trying to get him to stop laughing.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that.
If I had a father who was that bad, I would be laughing too.
God damn it.
He's laughing at you.
Okay.
I should put him on with you. I think he'd have better.
Well, he can come on in the after show.
Wilder's on there.
He can come on in the after show if he likes to.
Yeah. Okay.
That wouldn't be a problem. I would love to have him come on in the after show. So, yeah, I'm a little bit flustered because we still don't know why you believe what you believe. You just keep stating that things changed.
Well, yeah, that's what he expected. You expect things to change.
Yes, but you don't change a position on just expecting things.
What? No, it's more than that. Change in your view of life, your objectives.
You also, but
status.
you don't. Okay, so let me try, and if I can boil this down. So if you want, you can stop believing in God today and start believing in Vishnu tomorrow.
No.
Why not?
I don't think it works that way.
Why not?
Because once you believe the Bible, there are no other gods.
Yeah, but why can't you change?
That's not true. I believed in a goddess after I believed in the Bible.
Well, that was a fault.
And the fun fact is, how many gods are listed in the Bible?
Just a minute.
That was a false god.
I don't care if you think it was a false god, but you just, if I understood you correctly, as opposed to before you read the Bible, you said after you read the Bible, that you can't believe in other gods.
That's right. Yeah.
Except that I did.
Well, sure, that's all right. You can do that, but my God's bigger than your God.
I don't care what you believe about my God.
And your God believes in other gods.
I'm just saying that
he doesn't.
The statement wasn't whether you think my God is real. The statement was whether or not I can believe in whatever God, the Brawless God.
Also, John.
What do you mean by real? What do you mean by real?
John, can you read me the first commandment? Can you
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind.
Is that the first commandment?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the second one?
Thou shalt not make any graven image.
Yep.
And third?
See, you made a graven image.
And the third?
Your life is a graven image now. of
And
yourself.
third, God.
I'm not going through
God.
the whole Ten Commandments.
No, just the third.
I will make a graven image of myself, and I'd do it damn well too.
Yes.
You're talking to an artist. Of course, I could make a graven image of myself.
Well, the fun fact is John sent me a graven image, which we were to be using in the screen.
You know what that is?
For some reason doesn't work. So
that image I sent you is saying
all
atheism is wrong.
Over me again, so I have to mute it. So John, the third commandment, what is that?
I know, you tell me.
No, I'm asking you. It's your religion.
Oh, let me Google this.
I'd have to look it up, and I'm not going to. We're back to the Bible again, and we had.
It's not the Bible. The Ten Commandments are listed everywhere across the United States, so you don't need to go to the Bible.
Oh, I thought they took them out of the school. I thought they took them out of the schools.
Just in Holland.
Or is it just in Holland?
This is ridiculous.
What's the third commandment, John?
Oh, you tell me if you got them there.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain.
Ah, yeah. But there's other verses referring to vile language.
So
I don't really care. I mean,
if that's what you're trying to prove.
Charis, let's
Peter.
talk. He's keep shouting over us.
I have to. You're doing all the talking.
Say, thou shalt not have any other gods before me.
False gods.
Am I missing something? Because I know it's there.
I'm not sure.
Well, that's what you make as a god. It doesn't mean there is any. It's just that thing that you make as a god.
This is so frustrating.
Now you're a Bible scholar. Now are you a Bible scholar?
Unable to listen.
Are you a Bible scholar?
He's still physically unable to listen.
I thought you was going to bring on somebody else.
Can you find it, Charis?
Yeah, thou shalt have no other gods before me. It's in Exodus 20, verse 3. After that is thou shalt not make unto thee. This is King James Version, obviously. Don't make images.
According to Nepicross in the side chat, it's the first commandment. Thou shalt not have.
It depends on which version, I believe.
Yeah, they have to go to the Bible to show there's something wrong. Yeah.
I'm just curious.
They don't know that that's God, people. They don't know that's people making a god. Not that a god exists.
That's a definite claim of your God, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's referring to people that make graven images. Hey, you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
This is. I thought we were talking to an 87-year-old guy. We're talking.
He's not 87. Listen how young his son is.
He's a 5-year-old.
No, but listen to his son's youth. This guy isn't 87.
Boy, look at that. She doesn't think I'm 87.
Yes, he is 87.
My son is 50. My son is 58.
Well, then he's a very robust 87-year-old. Grats to you.
And I said that. I told you my life changed.
He's now denying his own God, which is kind of funny.
I told you God changed my life.
You're denying him.
He changed my life.
You're denying him. You're calling him a liar.
You can make graven images. That doesn't mean there's not somebody making God.
You just called the Christian God a liar.
No, I did. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. That's people making a God that's not really a God.
No, that's not what your God says.
You can make yourself a God.
That's not what your God says.
Now look at Peter. You made yourself a God because now you're the foundation. You're the foundation.
I don't care. I already told you I don't care what you think.
I know you don't care, but you picked yourself out as knowing you know what knowledge is true, and you know what's right behavior, and you know what the reality of the world is. You picked out. You were the God. You decide.
Well, I mean, for what it's worth, I have had men on their knees before me calling me a goddess, but we won't go into that.
There you go. See, there you go.
Yeah. So, but
can I come over to Holland and have a public debate with you?
This is public. It's more public than any
I
debate he'll
don't
be
do
in Holland.
I don't do debates because I think debates are useless.
You can say that again.
I don't do debates because sorry.
Hey, where's this other guy coming on?
He's not coming onto this stream. It's going to be a
not-
stream after this one.
Oh, when's that?
After this one.
When's
I'm
this
still,
one?
I'm still curious. Why are you denying God?
Oh my God.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
Because your God clearly acknowledges other gods, and you're saying that they're not real.
He's
So
he's acknowledging he's acknowledging that
Oh, damn it.
he's acknowledging
either
that people make
your
other
God
gods.
is a liar or you are wrong.
He's acknowledging
it?
I have to mute.
acknowledging that people can make other gods,
He's
but
still
that doesn't
talking.
make them a real God.
This is awesome.
Don't you know the
He's
difference
still
between
talking.
a fake God
He's
and a real
87
one?
years old, and in his 87 years of life, he hasn't developed the concept of listening.
No, but if the pretty little lady sitting here says a potty word, then
Well, is this something? Psi 10 said he would never come on with you unless you let him talk.
No, that's not what Psi 10 said.
Oh, that's exactly what he said.
No,
You're lying. You're lying. Yes, you're lying. He said, don't interfere with me when I'm talking. And you're doing the same thing to me.
he doesn't make the rules. If he wants to not be interfered with, he needs to not be breaking rules.
No, Psi said he would never come on a second time unless you let him talk without interference. I heard what he
fucking
said.
cares what Psi says. I mean, I don't care what Psi says. It's irrelevant.
You don't have to keep your word.
John, my offline conversation, which was the last time I spoke to Psi, where's that posted?
I only went by what he said.
I don't care what he said.
My offline conversation, which was the last talk that I had with Psi,
I don't care.
Which lasted about 20 minutes.
I don't care.
And we did that after the show that was
right
live.
And I don't care. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you said. You're all wrong. You're all wrong. I don't care what you said.
Well, then moving on to the next subject then.
Yeah.
I don't agree with your next subject.
Charis, do you have a next subject?
I don't agree with your next subject. What is it?
Well, all right.
Have you got a subject?
What?
Have you got a subject?
Nothing. I just muted the 5-year-old.
Okay.
Go ahead.
How long have we been at this? We've got people in the side chat chomping at the bit, so we may either he's still good to go. We may either want to, if he's up for a next subject here, that's fine. If not, then
you know who they are.
He can move on to frustrated.
You know who they are? They're all the people I talked to on the comments section.
Honestly, I would rather there be two separate hangouts, and you can host one, I can host the other. It doesn't matter. One for debating he and likely his son, and they spoke of another. So there would probably be 3 of them. Plus whoever was going to debate them. I'm guessing frustrated.
You said the word debate. I thought you were debating.
There were a couple others. And then another hangout for an after party. It'd be more a party atmosphere.
She said debate.
I would be attending that one for reasons that I think are obvious at this point.
You all right at the end?
I'm not getting any sleep tonight. I mean, okay. So what would you want to do? End the conversation here and go on to a round 2?
His career
Instead of an after party, and for the round 2 we invite other people. We can invite his son into the conversation.
Well,
and
I think there should be 2 consecutive hangouts going on. One for the
I know
talk that he and I'm presuming at this point 2 other people, one of them being his son, and what other 7 people will join in that, because I think there's a max of 10. And then another one that somebody else is hosting that has more of a.
Did you know what I was doing when I said
festive?
I have a greater change. Huh?
Which I might host.
She said, "Well, I had a great change." I said, "Well, I had a million more than yours."
That's induction. So Yeah. So do you
Use
want
their
to end
own
the
process
show
against them.
on this particular point? Because
So they can't
It-
prove you wrong.
I
It
don't.
They can't be
depends.
He's still
He's still
talking.
talking.
He's
Oh, I'm
still
talking. I'm talking to my son. I'm talking to my son.
I was
still
going to
talking.
say it depends on him, but he's
I'm talking to
Still
my
talking.
son.
He
I'm not
didn't
talking
good
to
finish.
either
you.
way. I mean, I've said I
I
can
th-
go for hours, and I can in many things, but he doesn't qualify for some of those others, so I'll just leave it at this.
Am I
Okay,
part of this
so-
conversation?
We've been trying to make you part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what's happening over there in Holland.
I'm getting a little bit frustrated with a guy who might be a Christian but has no manners at all.
Oh, he slammed me.
Has-
Look at
and
that
has no-
slam.
and has no manners at
All
all.
right. Well,
Oh,
on that, it's probably a sign that it's a good idea to end this particular conversation now. And if somebody
Yeah.
wants to, either Peter, you host the next hangout with Frustrated Atheists and Wonder Lady, and I'm presuming John is bringing two others. And then Peter, if you want to
no, I
host
don't have
one,
anybody.
or Frustrated Atheist or Wonder Lady can.
I don't
either
have
one.
anybody. I don't have nobody.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'll end this one. I'll set up a new live stream and I'll send invites to everyone who wants to join. John, do you want
Yeah.
to join the next conversation?
Well, how does that work?
Same way this one works. I'll send you an invitation and you can just hop
Oh,
on.
okay.
And
You
that
can't-
one, yeah, that
can't-
conversation will be, oh, John, this is a time to, show off your stamina.
You can't stay on this one? You can't stay on this one.
Oh,
No,
dear, you
because-
wore me out.
We can't stay
Well,
on this.
you should have saw me when you should have saw me when I was 45.
Oh, man.
Oh, now he's whipping out his penis. So we can't stay on this one because we want this one to be a
I was the
separate
best. I was the
conversation.
best looking guy. I was
It's
the
only-
best.
We have to start. We
I was the best.
have to start a new live stream. I'm just explaining it to someone who probably isn't listening, but I'll explain it to everyone else. So we'll.
You're projecting. You're projecting. I'm going
John,
off.
Peter will probably be part of that one, so you're not chasing him off.
Okay, I'm going to leave this and go over to my email.
I'm going probably in the more party-like one because I've had a rough week. So
I like your voice. I like your
Thank
voice.
you.
Sounds
Thank
like a
you very much.
Christian.
Thanks. It's just a voice. I mean, it also sounds like an atheist, a pagan. Because I mean, my voice hasn't changed.
You know what we call you? We call you beloved enemy.
I don't. Okay.
Charis, do you want me to send him a link to the conversation you had with another good friend of mine?
What?
The 100 questions.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He left. He already left. So let's end the conversation.
Peter's talking
here.
about Chess Piercy's stream for everybody who's listening. I went on Chess's show and she was asking me some very interesting questions, which I had a very interesting time asking. It was a lot of fun. She gives a good interview. Go check her out. Chess Piercy.
Okay. So we'll end the conversation here. And maybe in the next conversation, my screen will work because it didn't work this time. We'll see where we go. Thanks everyone for joining, and the next stream will be up in a couple of minutes. So
Okay.
stay tuned.
Also, I'm going to be hosting an after party, and that'll be a little bit more relaxed type of atmosphere.
on your channel?
Not on my channel. It's just going to be a hangout.
Okay. Yeah,
It's not
on this channel.
Oh, on this channel. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll join that one. Never mind the party, but do bring the booze.
Okay, so now I'm confused. You're going to host?
No, I'm not going to host.
Simultaneously?
I'll let John's back. No, forget about that. I'm just. Everybody go to Peter's.
Okay. So we're going to leave
I'll
this.
bring the pizza.
We're going to leave this one. I'll try and see if our outro works, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes in the new Hangout. So
Send me a link,
catch you
Peter.
there.
Okay.